Three, two, one. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Monday night here on the YouTube's interwebs for another late night comics. Joining me, as always, is my venerable co-host, partner in crime, RDV. How you doing, RDV?
I am doing all right. I'm still awake, so we're good.
Fantastic.
These these late night streams are like sometimes I just want to sleep. So I apologize if it's just Ash tonight. If I fall asleep in my chair, it's my I'm trying to get my sleep cycle back to normal, like going to bed before midnight.
All
But
right, we'll try to keep this one on a short
we'll
and
we'll
sweet.
give it short to 10 minutes.
No, not 10 minutes.
Like erratic.
I got this cool new app. Well, it's not new, but it's an app that I was using for my videos when I was
Yeah,
doing videos. Because if I was like, I want to keep like a video like down to a certain time, I got a speech timer app. Um, so I'm gonna try this out here, and we'll see. We'll go in 30-minute intervals. Let's see how that works. It's a cool little thing because like when I'm sitting here like recording a video about a comic, I'll just start rambling, going off. I don't even know. Half hour goes by, I didn't even realize. So I like having this thing. It's kind of like a stopwatch, but it like
I
changes
like it.
colors. It cues you to like if like you're supposed to keep your like a speech short and sweet or whatever. But
Yep.
we'll see. Anyways, how you doing, guys, tonight in the chat? Who was first tonight? Jay. I think Jay's been first a couple times now. Welcome, Jay. Is HR Goes Vocals here to heal him. Austin P's here, and that's all I see who's in the chat so far. So welcome, you guys. I got E-Ratic in the thumbnail. How's your comics and geek culture week been going? Yeah, you been into
Uh,
anything? What's hot on the RDV list this week?
for this week, I gotta open up
This
the
past
browser.
week? Like
This
what have
past
you?
week,
What's just kind of like you know?
Avengers. Same thing. We had issue 2 of Avengers. Lots of time was fun. Trying to remember what else came up. Flash had been enjoying that. Um, there's quite a few books on my pull list. Like I'm I gotta
What?
go look. I'm old. I gotta go look to see what
You're
else I
not
read last
old.
week.
Oh my goodness.
Everything blends together. Batman and the Joker Deadly Duo is turning out to be better than both Ramvi and Zdarsky
Oh
Batmans. I'm
yeah,
loving it.
that's big words.
Especially when you put a Sophie's Choice in there.
Oh well, it's hard to beat Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, you can't. uh, Erratic came out, the last issue of Erratic, which we're going to talk about tonight.
Yes,
Um, that was a fun story. I wish there's more. I
Erratic is
hate
so
this where I gotta
fun.
wait now.
Yeah, you don't even know if
um,
there's gonna be more. That's the thing.
exactly. Joe Fixit. Talk about Spider-Man being Spider-Man. Just Kingpin being in there. You're getting a classic story with basically where Peter Parker is still married to Mary Jane. He's back to being his normal self like he was in the 80s.
Oh my goodness, that's got to be
I know.
triggering some people.
Oh, it's just triggering me because the fact I won't ever see that again. Uh, it is Peter David writing it. It's just fun. I read the last issue of X-Men Legends with Bishop that had Will Sportatio in there and Hamberlin. We're working on that book, and it was a fun series. And like I say, the X-Men Legends books and a lot of these older books, like Extreme X-Men, in the back of each book on the back covers, they tell you what basically what this book ties into. So like reading the Bishop story makes me want to go tie into and start reading like not Avengers but the X-Men stuff books around that time. Um, and
That
that's
was
what these books are based. Yeah,
that was when Claremont left. It's really weird to see Bishop in a Claremont book
yeah.
because that
Well, it's
was
not a Claire.
John Byrne
Yeah, because
back
this is
X. I think it was. I always get the number mixed up. I want to say it was issue 281. when Jim Lee left. Well, they didn't leave. They gave Jim Lee his own like X-Men
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
And then
This
John
this
Byrne took over, and you had the coming of Bishop on the Uncanny team.
yeah, this ties into 282.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that would be, and also Portacio was doing the art then too. So it was a super
Yeah,
hot time, man. Having John Byrne and Will Portacio on Uncanny, and Claremont and Jim Lee on X Men.
yeah.
It was, oh, as an X Men fan, you couldn't ask for more. But that unfortunately didn't last very long.
So like I said, it was really cool to see this, and it ties into that story. So I was like, man, now I want to go read that story.
I know, right? Speaking of X
Yep.
Men stories that tie in, I caught up with the current new with the Extreme X Men, the Claremont. So I read those this week because I'd been getting them, but I just had forgotten to read them. So
Not only that,
they're
that
they're
ties
pretty
into
cool. Like it totally reminds me of Claremont. I'm like, oh yeah, this is, because that writing style from like the '80s is just so different than how they write comics today. And if you go back and read like the old '80s Claremont stuff, it just there's just a certain way that Chris Claremont writes. He has a very sort of, not poetic, but it's almost like a stage play. He like writes like a stage play. Like the people don't speak necessarily like how real people speak. And as a kid I used to call it just comic book speak. But that was because X-Men was my primary comic and I didn't realize other comics weren't the same. But so I'm reading, I'm like, man, this is like bringing me back to the past. Um it's so interesting, and you can tell like that Chris Claremont's just not in his own time anymore. He's still like living back in the '80s and '90s. But
and
it's pretty cool.
it works. It works because that story ties back into the Kitty Pryde Wolverine miniseries, which is
Right.
really cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, bringing back a character, from that timeline, also not changing anything really about that character, just keeping it faithful to what it was. You know,
Yeah, it's like he
um,
ignores everything that's been going on in X-Men in the past 20 years. He's
after
just
he
like,
left, pretty much, yes.
yeah, it's like that stuff doesn't exist to me. And I'm like, all right,
Which
I
which
can dig that.
that's what Extreme X-Men was when he did
Yeah.
it. That was him ignoring everything that was going on with the main stuff. He said, "No, I'm doing Extreme X-Men. This is my continuation of my stories." So which I thought was really cool. It was like, oh, it's like basically if Claremont just kept going. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, it's something to see these creators come back and write stories, and then you look what's going on in the current stories, with these characters. Like, wow, I would
100%.
take I would take Jim Diamantis' his story right now with Spider-Man, with the Craven or whatever the hunt thing over. Even though it's not really that great. It's still better than that's going on anything with the current Spider-Man. Why? Because he's married to MJ and she's pregnant. May have a
Hmm.
weak villain, maybe even a weak story, but guess what? That weak story still has a better Peter Parker.
Right.
You know, and
Let's address the chat here for a little bit because I like to encourage the chat to keep talking to
the
us,
talk.
and if we don't pay attention to it, they have no reason to chat. So, Tehillim says Ollie from E-Ratic. My issue of the latest was delayed. The series needs to be ongoing. I hear you. I agree. Like I wish it were. However, sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for because I don't think Kari Andrews can carry an ongoing series. He seems to be one of those kind of writers that like gets an idea and he can put it out there and then he's got to kind of go recharge and get a new idea. So not every writer is fit to just month after month after month after month crank out stories. And as much as I agree and go, man, I would like Erratic, I also don't want it to be a mediocre. Just, oh yeah, here's some. Let's put Mark Russell on it, and here's it's so it's a mixed bag. But yes, I wish they could find. I don't know. Maybe Kari Andrews can set it up real well. Maybe he'll have a third miniseries and give it a really good, and they can find someone else to do carry an ongoing. I don't know how that works, but I agree. If they can do it good, I would love to see it. Um,
Sorry,
Zach,
Andrews.
Go ahead.
doing a spinoff for Firepower with the kids.
Yeah, Kirk. I don't know. Kirkman doesn't seem to let go of his properties. Like he
His
doesn't let
toys,
it.
yes, and
Yeah. Zach is in the house. He says, "Hey, you flies," and I'm assuming an homage to me. Austin says, "I got a Dark Horse book made 13 years ago called Brody's Ghost. I've been meaning to get it for a while. I'm really enjoying it. I have never heard of Brody's Ghost. Um, so I don't know. Maybe you can. Have you heard of Brody's Ghost?
nope.
All right.
Oh,
Cool.
they're saying my microphone, it spikes where it goes get really loud for a second, then it goes back to normal. Because I'm actually kind of talking quiet, not really yelling at the
Yeah,
microphone.
you were real loud on England Teen Stream.
Well,
I have you maxed out, so I'm going to turn me down just a bit.
the problem is I'll be on Angleton stream and Dalton's louder than me, and then
Well,
Zach's quiet, and
not
then
tonight he
he's
wasn't.
really
Maybe
loud.
in your ears he was, but I think the what you guys
Yeah,
hear on the stream yard is not what comes through on the YouTube.
sure. But when I go on my stream here, you know, I said like I listen. It's all of a sudden I hear people are really quiet. It's just like okay. Like there were times where we had Aaron Sparrow on our channel, and he was super quiet. Where everyone else was like really loud. So it's like, what do? I can't really do anything on stream here to boost his microphone. You know,
Right.
it all depends what you're using. If you're using your phone through StreamYard and you're talking that way, sometimes that could be a problem, or it could be the fact that you're too close to your microphone or you're too far away from it.
So
You
here's
know,
a Brody's Ghost that Austin was checking out, I guess. I don't have it on. Let me share my screen with you internally here.
Brody's ghosts, bro.
Uh, I was just curious, so I figured I could share it through the League of Comic Geeks. I've never heard of this. It looks very interesting. It doesn't look like a typical comic, like your
Looks
American comic.
Indiegogo.
This is Dark Horse? It doesn't have the big
Really?
Dark Horse label on it I'm used to
What was it
seeing.
released?
He said 13 years ago.
It
Oh, looks
says
like there's a
$22.
bunch of. Oh, these are the trade paperbacks. There's a bunch of them, man. There's like six
I was gonna say
volumes.
the one you showed before was like $22.
Yeah, these are trade paperbacks. So
Uh,
kind of reminds me of TMNT, like the old school Mirage TMNT, like the way they drew Casey Jones, like kind of that style art. Huh. I don't know anything about it, man. Tell us how good it is, or if you've gotten through it.
yeah,
Hopefully, it
learn
was
something.
worth the wait.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, all right. I see that. He's in Neverland. Giant
Neverland.
crocodile. Giant crocodile.
Oh yeah, let me get to that in a second. Let's see.
So
See if
he
I can.
says that that book has a Dark Horse label on the spine, on the cover.
Yeah, if it's a. I was looking at the trade paperbacks. I was thinking like floppies. They always. Um. So let's see. Um. I gotta scroll back up because you guys have been active. I didn't think about that, but it makes sense. Ash says Austin P. Claremont does speak like a stage writer. Um. And then he says something about sounds like Burns' X-Men Elsewin.
Elseworld.
Uh, Elsewin. Byrne, I think he's referring to Byrne did this sort of his own X-Men series that um that he did like sort of like illegally. It was like a fanfic. He did it on a website, like Webtoons. He basically wrote and draw his own X-Men stories from before the all new, all different. So it featured like the original X-Men. And
I
but
want
it
to
was
read
the
that.
quality of a John Byrne. Like it was his writing and art. But
Yeah, yeah.
he didn't have the rights, so he couldn't sell it. So he just sort of did it like fanfic. But I believe Marvel later like worked with him and basically paid, and they ended up publishing it. I think that's what he's referring to. Um, Zach says I got some comics from my twin today. I look forward to
Yeah,
showing them off Thursday.
he got a huge hardcover book from Skip.
Yeah,
Skip had to pay a lot in weight for the shipping. I can say that much.
yeah. I'm jealous. I want that. If it's the book I'm thinking of, it's the one I want it. Let's
They
see.
need they need to make Gemini you know boxes for the giant absolute ones.
Right. Um, Ronnie says it might be the spikes are coming from you when you translate Discord to Streamlab to YouTube. I don't know. I mean, all Streamlabs is
Could
doing.
be you say it could be me talking towards the mic and then turn my head talking away from the mic. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, it could
that.
be that.
I'll do
It
that.
could be that. I tried to equalize it a little bit. So part of the problem is if I'm louder than you, people are going to adjust their volume to whoever's the loudest, and then the people who are quieter are too quiet, so then they have to turn their volume up to hear it, and then so as long as I
I'm
can try
not
to
getting.
keep it
Hey,
equalized.
I did not give any spoilers. I gave people a little tease, so they know. So they're like, "Ooh, he's got like one of those books." Now they kind of want to know.
All right. So Austin says they're graphic novels. There are no trades. Okay, so they're just published as original graphic novels. All right, cool. I've never heard of it, so obviously it was a thing because there was more
It
than
looks.
just one.
I was gonna say it looks like a dollar bin thing to me. If it's out there now, it doesn't look like it's a brand new thing unless it is new. It looks the art quality they reminds me of those books I'd find in my dollar bins at my shop.
It
So
looks
they're
indie.
really,
That's how.
I was just, yeah, really indie.
Yeah, that's like how old indie used to be. Um, uh, Austin says Mark Crilly is the guy who did those books. Is one of the biggest art tutorial YouTubers. He uses his comics as examples for his videos. Okay, pretty cool.
Hello, Mr. Edward Brewer. Let's go.
At Brewers in the House, and also hello to Marania. Um, we already read your comment, but we didn't say hi. Welcome, guys. Where was I? My brain's not working. I'm working on like half sleep. You're working on half sleep. Also, Ash,
Together,
I just noticed you call this the all new, all different late night comic stream. Yeah, we do because it's a little bit different. We did the boys, and we didn't really have a plan. We just knew we wanted to sit and talk about comics, and we wanted to do the boys, and we just sort of just did it, and it ended up just organically evolving to what it was, and then it sort of became these big 5 hour epic streams, and it wasn't ever intended that way. It was just meant to just hang out and talk comics until we got tired and hang up and go go home.
yeah, it was meant to be like a reading club thing where we talked on there, but nobody else wanted to join us, so we just did that. We read through there, and then they're like, okay. So anybody who's reading these books with us right now, these current books, are still welcome to jump on and join us. It's an open invite.
Yeah, definitely. So after I kind of noticed that I didn't like the direction of the way it was going as like midway through, but it was already kind of that way, and I was just like, oh, it is what it is. But after the boys is over, I was like, okay, here's an opportunity to change things up. I was like, I'll sit and talk for 5 hours when I'm in the mood for it, but I didn't want to like make that the expectation. So I was like, I want to tighten this up. Let's get it back down to like a 1.5 hour, 2 hours most kind of
Yeah,
stream. And
yeah, Marania, I am all in all different. I made a deal with the devil, sacrifice my marriage.
oh man, so that's the idea. And along with that, the way the boys was, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we did it because the boys is one of the most awesome epic storylines I've read in comics ever.
Yep.
Um,
And I just did read
but
Walking Dead.
for a show format to cover 80, like it was just too long to do like an 80 issue saga like that. And when we were done, Venkman and I didn't have a complete plan of like what to do next. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of getting behind in my reading because I'm doing the boys, I'm doing the Hickman thing. with Zach and Skip. I'm doing the reading club that we do off air through Discord, which is every other Thursday. I'm doing these things. I'm not reading my books. And I said, why don't we just, you and I have an overlap. We do read some of the same books. I go, why don't we just talk about some of the modern books that we're reading? Um, and so the bank was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And so that's kind of where we're at now. We're going to see how that goes. And I think like people like to talk about modern books or the books that are currently coming out. To which, speaking of modern books, I wanted to mention one of the books I'm reading right now that is stellar. Like I picked this up as an
Roma.
experiment.
She's yeah, she's the friend of Shira, right?
No. Um, Chroma is a book that I picked up. It was one of the short stories out of the Skybound X, and this is the artist of Oblivion Song, who, to be honest, isn't one of my favorite artists. I mean, I liked Oblivion Song, but not because of the art. It was the story that I liked. But for some reason, I was just interested. I don't know. The short story in Skybound X was okay. Um, Very interesting. The short story in the Skybound X almost has nothing to do with this. This book, Chroma, is actually about the girl on the cover. Her name is Chroma. The story that's in the Skybound X is like a short story that's in the same world and deals with some of the world building in that, but doesn't actually. So it is what it is, but it doesn't. It's not like necessarily let you know. I just picked up the first issue because I was like, you know what? I want to give this a try. I do like Kirkman's imprint, the Skybound. I want to see what this guy can do. I'll pick up the first issue, and I was like, I ended up reading it, and now these are like giant size issues. Normally I balk. You know me, RDV. I'm always like, fucking comics are, way too much money. And these books are $7.99. But they
You know
are
what
thick
you know what
boys.
you know what I found out? She's
Huh.
a legacy character.
Oh my goodness. She's not a legacy character.
Marania says, "I'm glad that you both reviewed the boys. Honestly, I wouldn't have tried it because I heard that was ultra violent and crude. You showed that the boys were much more than that. And that's the thing. It's like a shame is that people will just like skim something or read two issues and then presume that they know what the whole entire story is about. All right,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then it's horrible. It's like nope.
That's true. So anyways, this book,
Avatar. I was gonna say Avatar: Way of the Water is more than just about water. It's about what they do in the water.
jerk.
Sorry.
Um it- yeah, so I mean, this is just a book that kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't buy it expecting to love it. I was trying to just be open minded. I had I didn't have a lot of books in my pull, so I was like, yeah, let me try this out. And each issue has just gotten better and better. And like I said, they're more than double size issues. They're pretty thick. I'd say like they're like 50 pages each. So I don't like
They're
paying the 7.99, but they are thick. And every time I sit down and read an issue, I feel like I got a lot of comic. Like sometimes, like the modern comics, like the Marvel and DC, you get 20 pages of this really decompressed, and you feel like you didn't read anything. You're like, what the hell, like, even happened? Characters sat around a little bit, and then a villain showed up, and they're like, okay, to be continued. You're like, wait, what? Like, nothing. But here,
yeah,
I feel like you get a lot of story, and the world building is really interesting. The art is even better than Oblivion Song, which again I didn't really get because of the art, but here I feel like the artist really gets to draw what he wants to draw rather than what Kirkman wants him to draw, and that's a big deal. Like I really like to gravitate towards artists who are also the writer. It's a mixed bag because artists, can't always write very well, like Todd McFarlane, and sometimes there's writers who want to draw, like Chip Zdarsky, and it's like, dude, you're not an artist, um, and it's like, but when a good artist can actually write well too, it's great because they only write for themselves things that they can, so their art shines better. And the use of color, the name Chroma here is like a double. It's not a double entendre, but it's like it's got a double meaning. Like it's her name, but also the theme of the book is color. And these people live in a world where they think like it's controlled by demons, and the demons hunt color. So they use clay and chalk on their bodies and their buildings and their village, everything, to make everything black and white, because the demons can't see black and white. They can only see color. And this girl, Chroma, she's believed to be this curse because she's got two different colored eyes. She's got a green eye and a blue eye, and she's been trapped. And this boy character like discovered like comes across her, and anyway, she ends up escaping and all this stuff and goes out into the world. And it's a really beautiful comic because of the use of color, and they get to use black and white. You can see in this cover, which is drawn by a different artist, but you can see like how the contrast of the black and white, when it's superimposed onto color, it makes the color more striking. And so it's just a really visually interesting book. And I really liked the story. Like, I like stories about kids, but that aren't necessarily like children's stories, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's something appealing about like the innocence of youth. That's, I think, why I like Super Sons so well. And the boy character, um, like, he's kind of like educated and like knows things because he works for like the equivalent of the priesthood that runs things. Um, and she, of course, doesn't know anything because she's been trapped in this tower for her whole life. She thinks she's a monster because that's what everyone tells her. Like, she doesn't, and so she doesn't know anything about the world. And it's just real interesting. Anyways, I don't want to go on, but it's a surprising one. If you can catch this in the trade, I was bummed to find out the fourth issue is the last one. So it's not a short story again because they're thick. Like, if you remember Ultra Mega, so it's going to be like a 200-page trade when it finally comes out. But it's fun. I would recommend this. And while there is violence in it, it's not like ultra violent. This is a book you could share with children, not young children, but like, preteens or teens. I think they would, if anyone has kids or family members that like, a lot of comics I wouldn't share with kids because not just of sex or violence, but just the political messages, the nonsense. This is like a really good, in my mind, fantasy story. So, anyways, I talked about that enough. That's what I've been into this past week.
So, so two things. Uh, this character here kind of reminds me of the I've been reading with the. It's kind of like the Frankenstein story they have over going on with the Mike Mignola
Uh
over
huh.
at Hellboy, where they go into the surface. It's a whole new world and everything. Everything's all new, brand new stuff, and she's just trying everything because she's just basically living around for most of her life. So where Frankenstein's kind of like that.
It's a whole
And,
new world.
the other thing is that
You're like just moving on.
I don't trust kids with two different color eyes. We saw what happens at 28 weeks later.
I never saw 28 Weeks Later. I've only seen the first one.
Oh, yeah. People with two different colored eyes are carriers of the disease.
Well, the jury's still out. I've read 3 issues. I don't know where this story's going to go with her yet. Um, but yeah, it's very like unique. That's another thing I like about this book is it's unlike anything else I'm reading. And I'm not necessarily against things feeling derivative. I mean, I like Avatar. I defend it all the time. And we all know, yes,
$8.
Avatar is derivative. But I also do appreciate something fresh and new that I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this before. Um, so
Eight
to you,
eight eight dollars per book. I wonder how much
yeah,
the trade's gonna be.
I don't know, man. You could get the Ultra Mega Trade was only 16.99,
Not that bad. Can
so
you
it was
imagine, but
basically the price of 2 issues for the trade.
can you imagine if it like if you just did like four books in there, but like but it's like I said, I $8 per trade per issue, and then you throw that into the trade. That'd be expensive for me. But I mean, if you're only getting like 4 issues, and it's like getting for the price of 2 issues, sure,
Yeah,
that's
like I
deal.
said, it is expensive, and I totally respect anyone who's like, man, I'm not paying 7.98 for a comic. I've said that a bunch of times. However, it is not like your typical Marvel DC type comic. These are thick books. So you do get, like I said, like they're approximately, I want to say like, well, here you can say right here, it's 56 pages. So when every issue is like 56 pages, your typical comic's 20 pages. It's like two and a half comics. Um, so, anyways, I'm just really enjoying it. I only just picked up the first just to see. I was really curious, and it won me over. And this is one of the books that I've really been like when it comes out, I'm like ooh ooh ooh, and I don't get to talk about it because no one else reads it. Like it's like half the books I read are like that. Um, Zach says 28 weeks later was better than 28 days later. You're the only person I've ever heard say that. Um, Tehillim asks, what manga is Ash reading? Ash is reading no manga right now. However, I just got back into My Hero Academia, the anime, and it is pretty awesome. Season 6. That's what I'm in. I'm about 7 episodes into season 6. And yeah, I love that series. One of my favorite anime TV shows, like ongoing, ever. Um, I There's just something I love about that show, and I've been meaning to get into the manga for the longest time, and I'm like I'm kind of like recommitted now. I'm like, oh, I really gotta get into this.
See, my here's my thing. I choose one or the other. If I read the manga, I'm not gonna watch the anime because the anime is exactly like the manga.
Now
So I already know what's gonna happen. It spoils it for me.
I don't like this is what I don't get about you, because I hear you and I respect that answer, but at the same time, you're also the same guy that's like you'll watch like a movie or a TV adaptation of a comic book and you'll be like, that's not how it was in the book. Like, and you'll get all upset when they like change it. Um, or maybe upset's not the right word, but you'll get all critical. And I'm
Well,
like,
my thing is that
well,
well, my thing is I don't like it when you actually ruin the character. You know, if they did the character like it was in the book, or whatever, it all depends. But if I'm watching, if I really like it, like if they did the Flash they're doing right now in the comic books in the movies and they did like that, I probably would like it. I probably like that more because I'm really into that.
mhm,
But but I mean, like, I just don't like it. Like, you're gonna take some property and then do what they did, like they did with Iris West in the Flash. To me, that's a big it's a disrespect to the actor character itself.
right.
Yeah, same
So
with Supergirl.
Zach says not exactly. The anime gets, why am I saying anime? I know it's the correct way, but I feel like such a weeb. The anime
Yeah.
gets the highlights, but it cuts a lot of the stuff from the manga. Um, yeah, and I think that's true. In fact, that's why I want to read the My Hero Academia manga
Well,
because
okay, if that one's like that, but a lot of the ones I've watched, they're the exact same word for word manga, scene for scene. So
hmm, it's not. I don't know. I don't watch a ton. I don't. There's very few animes I've watched where I've also read the manga, so I can't clearly speak to that. But like I have read some of the My Hero Academia manga, and it was very close. But like Zach's point, there's more detail. Also, I kind of want to read the manga now because I'm on season 6, and My Hero's been out for a while. I kind of forgot a lot of the detail of what happened in the previous seasons. I know like the high points and the main overall narrative, but going back through the manga, I'll get all that detailed story. And also, there's another thing. I don't mind like it, hearing seeing. I don't mind experiencing the story a second time if it's a story that I love. Like I want to go see Avatar 2 again. I'm bummed that I haven't seen it. I've only seen it once. Like I saw the first one. I like back to back. I walked as we were walking out of the theater. Like I was with my ex, and I was like, "You want to see that again?" She's like, "Yeah." We just bought tickets and walked right back in. Um, I just love this movie, and it's just because of financial reasons and life situations are different now. And
now
I'm like,
here's he says the villain story and is much longer than it is the 3 episodes they give you in the anime. Now here's my problem with that. I probably would not like that because I'm not a really huge fan of all the villains. I only like twice. That's about it.
Well, it
The
depends
other
on.
guy, there's the other guy, the guy who turns a huge guy. He has a pointy nose, kind of looks like he'd be like the Joker or Lex Luthor type. You know what I'm talking about? He was originally
Yeah,
he
what's
was
his
the
name?
leader.
It's like his name is like Reed, Reed something.
Rhea, yeah, Rhea, whatever. I always think of him being like a Norman Osborn character whenever I see him.
Reed Destro.
Redestro, yes, he's like the Green Goblin in a sense.
Yeah,
Whenever I see him,
yeah, he's a kooky. The villains in this are all kind of weirdo.
but twice is my favorite villain.
Oh, I like Twice. He's cool. And this season 6 is tearing me up. And holy shit, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but my goodness, they have made the main villain OP. Like, holy crap balls. Um, the
Well, considering what's happened to him, I can
oh yeah,
understand it.
no, it makes sense. But from a storytelling standpoint, you're just like, how are you
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
stop this guy? He's retarded powerful. Um,
I
so
just kept thinking, man, like, how did All Might get that huge strength where you go and then he turns into a little skinny guy? I'm like, I was like, when does Deku get that power? It becomes huge, like All Might multi.
right. I'm just waiting for like, why is it taking Deku a million years to get the one for all
So
power?
like,
Like,
well, they gotta stretch it out to season 20.
oh goodness, they're not gonna go that long. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get the feeling that it took All Might like 5 years to like learn the power.
No, probably not.
You know, and like Deku is like, oh, I can go 30% now. You're like, Jesus, you've had the power for how many years, dude? Sure, we gave it to the right kid. Um,
There's a scene there where he's so badly injured and he's just using his tongue to whip around. I was like, what the heck is going on here? You'll see that.
yeah,
It is. It's just like I'll never give up, but dude, your body's broken. I'll never give up. And I'm like, just calm down, bro. Just surrender.
yeah,
It is. It's just he literally is a punching bag. That's all he is in the series. Poor kid. At least he's not crying anymore. Oh, I
yeah.
almost quit the show.
What?
Uh, in the very beginning,
Oh, in the very
just
beginning, yeah.
when he was crying all the time, that
The
just
first couple
really irritated.
episodes were like, what am I watching? But
Why is he crying so?
that's just an anime thing. Like,
That I've never seen another hand any other animes where they had the main character that unlikable in the very beginning.
he wasn't unlikable. He was just a little
He was to me.
cringe. But he was a
Super.
little
He
kid.
was.
He was a little kid. And it's just it's like a cultural thing. It just feels it's just a way like they were just over exaggerating the emotion and stuff. It's a stylistic thing. To me, I was like, oh, okay, this is I've seen this before in the anime. I just roll with it. But I do understand why people would find it annoying. I was like, oh, come on, it's a little over top.
Yeah, in the story, it's only been 1 year. Yeah,
It's only been 1 year.
yeah.
Oh, I guess that's kind of no. I thought they were. Are they not second years yet? They're second years.
Well, yeah, they started out first year, and then their second year.
Yeah. I guess so. Man, good point. It says I guess it does seem longer. Um, but they're not
That's what
doing the
she
Harry
said.
they're not doing the Harry Potter thing where it's like one season per year or something. But uh,
That'd be great.
yeah, it would be it would be interesting to see them kind of growing up more, but I don't know how that's gonna work.
Well, that was the other thing that people were trying to saying. Oh, there's a small group of people who are saying. I think or horror or horror Haru, whatever her name is. That she's the girl in the pink who has controlled gravity.
hmm
uh they're trying to say like, oh, the anime artist is trying to sexualize her, making her,
Oh
drawing her. I'm
yeah.
like, well, no, she's older. That's why she looks that way. Her body's changing.
It's stupid. So stupid. Like
Yep.
of all the animes, first of all, so much anime is like so
Uraka, yeah,
sexualized. Like My
yeah.
Hero Academia is one of the tamest. In fact, one of the
Lately,
reasons
they
I don't actually watch a lot of anime or read a lot of manga is because of the sexualization. Like to me, it's not that they're all like R rated or whatever. It's just there's a lot of like innuendo and a lot of just like stuff that's just cringy. And I think it's a cultural thing. Like to me, I just go, I don't dig this. Um, some people do, and that's whatever. But like for me, I don't like it. But I love My Hero because it's we don't get a lot of like the sexual like like I said, like the innuendo type of stuff. Like, oh look, the up the skirt shots and the crazy like, oh, did I fall on you awkwardly and my boobs are in your face type of stuff. It's just so like common in a lot of manga and anime. And anyways, and Austin says, same Ash, too much. It's a bit too much for me. It's just to me, it's just kind of cringy. Like it's not that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is of the devil, turn it off. Like it's just more like it's not my cup of tea. I prefer the little bit more serious type of stuff. I'll just like the way My Hero does it for a show that's like a young. It's obviously meant for a younger audience, but it can still appeal to my middle aged ass. Like that's a good mix. Um, Zach says he likes a lot of the pro heroes, especially Hawks and Mirko. I do like Hawks quite a bit. Mirko, not as familiar with, but she had some good scenes in season 6. And I do like the pro heroes, although it's a mixed bag. Like I'm kind of getting frustrated with the show because I feel like it's moving away from Class A and Deku specifically. Like the first couple of episodes barely have Deku even in it. It's focusing on. I'm like, it's cool. Like I get there's all these other characters, but like, is Deku not the main character of the story? Like what's going on? So I hope they get back to
that
that.
was when yeah, that's what I felt like too when I started watching. I was like, "What's going on here?" It's like I just want to see Deku, bro. Where's Deku? And like you see him for like 5 seconds, and like on a 6 episodes, like what's going on here? That's cool, yeah. Assuming all the characters, but like yeah, is Deku the main character or is he not the main character? It's just really confusing because I wasn't expecting that, But I don't know. Like I said, luckily I think it picked up one for me personally when they started showing Deku and they started building up the story and stuff and upping the scale. It just everything that's going on with the villains attacking and just wow. Uh, that big dude though, the guy who serves for One for All, the big giant rock guy. He's a huge.
Oh yeah, the giant. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Everything that happens with him, the school teacher stuff, and just like oh my god, it's like it's just so this. It's very emotional. First couple episodes.
Oh, in season 6?
Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Seriously, season 6 is starts off with a bang. Holy crap. And I gotta say too, like Zach said his favorite characters, and I do like those characters, but um I gotta say, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. The teacher, Eraserhead.
yeah.
He's one of my favorite characters. I love his character. He just gets better as the show goes
His
on.
whole storyline, him and the other guy, Mega Mouth, the microphone guy,
Yeah,
their friend was turned into one of those monsters.
yeah. And
And
the
just
Mega Mouth guy, like I find him so annoying. I'm just like, oh, God. But
there's a part where you see one of the episodes where he's not wearing his costume. He looks so weird. Like is like the same guy.
yeah,
So
yeah. I love Eraserhead, and I got to getting to see him in season 6 where he's like actually working with the
fighting,
pros as a
yeah,
hero. It just it kind of like harkened back, and I feel like a little cringe making this comparison, but I kind of harkened back to the Harry Potter when like Snape got to reveal himself and was like actually like in action. Um, sorry, I got the sniffles here. Or
Snape shouldn't be revealing himself. That's kind of gross.
um, well, because Snape was always just sort of like the hard teacher, but blah blah blah. But when Snape got into action, it was like, oh damn, Racerhead getting in action is just it was cool. Let's see. Present Mike is fun. I like his reminders on who characters are and what their quirks are.
Do you
I
know
don't
my
mind
least
that. I don't mind that part. I just hate like it's just annoying when like they'll have a scene and the characters are just conversing and he like converses in like yells and stuff and I'm just like, oh, that's too much.
my least favorite character on their show is one of the kids from Deku's class. He's the one that controls animals.
That's
He-
your least that's your favorite or least favorite?
that's my least favorite character in the show.
Oh man, he has got a great scene in season 6.
Talks to the animals. Come on, animals. It's like when his Animal Man, like they just can't go and say it, but he's Animal Man.
Dude, he would be a super useful hero.
You got Earjack Girl, and then you got the other guy,
Dude,
the
Earjack
guy,
Girl is like the most pointless.
and that. Well, she's just, and you find out she's gonna become like a love interest for the guy who does like electrocute things people.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, okay, here's where I'm going with this. What about the girl who just creates everything? Like, what's going on with her? Because she's just starting out to be a leader. And I'm just thinking, like, that girl is wearing less and less clothing every time I see her, so she can use her powers. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's move away from My Hero Academia cuz not everyone watches the manga. Although, I should say I just my last thing on it. If you haven't watched My Hero Academia and if you feel like you're like, I'm not into manga, blah 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 or anime, I can respect that. But it does have a gap, like it does bridge the gap because it is superhero. And that's something you don't find terribly often in anime manga in general. Like to do superhero stuff. It's very rare. And I have to say that My Hero Academia not only does it really well, but is the best X-Men comic since X-Men was good with Chris Claremont. Like that's another
It's
reason
like
I get my kicks out of it. Um,
it's like Avengers Academy, but like the main character who's going to go up the main big bad villain. Only a couple people in the circle know that he like this kid is going to be like the next the next superhero, the next Superman. You know, basically like Uh, so it's like him in school learning, with everybody else, but he's also like got to keep it a secret that he's like the most powerful person in the world right now.
yeah. And
It's
Zach says, or
insane.
you could watch One Piece, which is superheroes disguised as pirates. No, pirates with
Uh,
superpowers are not superheroes. And there is a lot of manga and anime featuring characters with powers. In fact, that is super common. One of the most recent animes I watched was actually called Kuroko's Basketball. Don't ask me why I started watching that. I don't even like basketball normally, but it was on Netflix. I started watching it, and it's pretty damn awesome. And it's about a high school basketball team, and they're going in a tournament or whatever. And the way they play basketball, they don't actually have superpowers, but the way the story is portrayed is as if it like is superpowers. It's kind of like a what you call like a fishtail. It's kind of like the way like if you saw the movie 300, how it was told in a really exaggerated format to make it feel mythical. That's how this is. So the characters play and it's like they have superpowers even though it's not. It's more metaphorical, but that's a super common thing. Another big massive anime that we watched was Fairy Tale. If you haven't seen Fairy Tale, that's a little bit more for younger audiences, but really cool. Uh, where everyone is like a wizard and their powers work like superheroes. They don't run around with wands. But it's very that's a common thing, but it's not different. I'm talking about actual heroes and meaning more than just having superpowers. What I gravitate towards My Hero Academia is like Deku, the main character, his like selflessness, his desire to just help people. Like he has a lot of the same like qualities that like Superman has. Superman is a lot more than just, oh, I have the powers of Superman. It's the person that Clark Kent
It's
is.
it's basically like imagine if you because he's Goku or not Goku. I was saying Goku, but Deku is basically like imagine Superman. He was on Earth. Everyone else has powers. He's the only one that doesn't have powers. But then someone gifts him powers. Like the most powerful person gives it like Superman gifts Superman. His time's up with these powers, and he gifts you his powers. You to be the next Superman. You know,
Yeah.
and you have to learn how to control these powers because they destroy your body every time you use them. So you have to use them a small percentage to build up. And despite this kid is just like is so selfless, and he's willing to hurt his body just to save his friends.
Right. And because the reason why he even gets the powers is because in the very first like episode,
Yeah,
he goes to save someone even though he doesn't have powers. And All Might, who is the equivalent of Superman, like sees, like he intervenes and stuff, and so he knows like the qualities that this kid has because in the world of My Hero Academia, 80% of the world people have superpowers. Not all of them are good superpowers. Like some people can like make their hair change colors or something, like it's like minor stuff. But if you have a good
Ooh,
power, you can go to superhero school and become like a like an accredited superhero, and there's
but
like
yeah,
these
some people actually just turn into animals.
right.
That's their powers, their quirk.
There's
I
like
was like, what
these
the heck?
firms where that like the government hires these firms of superheroes to do, to battle supervillains, whatever. Um so what was I saying? Anyway, so Deku, oh no, I know what I was saying. So one of the things I like about My Hero is it doesn't try to portray like this baloney idea that everyone who's got these powers and that is a hero like truly in their heart. Some of these people are just like they want to be the best, right? Like it's all like an ego thing. Some of them want to just be
Yeah.
famous and stuff.
They want to be
And
the number one hero.
yeah, number one, like, but not because they want to help people. They just it's like an ego thing. Like I want to be the top dog. And I love that portrayal of it. I love that My Hero, it's almost like a commentary on modern comics in general because the old school days of comics, there was a lot of like the qualities, like the old school DC. All these characters are like, I need to do good and help people, and like that was their primary motivation. Whereas like modern heroes, especially like really modern heroes, a lot of them are like, look at me, I'm so awesome. I'm like the bestest superhero. Let me take a selfie of myself saving people. It's a lot more narcissistic. And you get a mix of all that. And what's really cool is that Deku being the central character who starts off with no powers at all, what I really like is that his power is to like win people over because they see him as like this true paragon of virtue. And so there's characters in the show who are like maybe a little bit more self-interested and just like I'm just trying to be the best. I don't care about other people, but they see him and like what he does and stands for and like even to the point that he'll sacrifice himself and it affects them. And I think that's like I think that's kind of like what Superman does. I love how his role in the DC universe is to be this paragon that other people are like, "Oh, I want to be like him. Like I need to live up to that." He's like a living example. Anyways, going off on the deep end, but I just love that show. That's why I want to read the manga. Just so backlogged. Um, Dominic Powell's in here, says, "Good evening. What's the story of Chroma?" We already covered that, my friend. So I would love to, you know, get back into it, but you can rewind and see it. Um, Anything else that's on your side that you're into or this past week that you just want to give a shout out about
Oh, but I've been watching a lot of online documentaries on YouTube.
about comics or what?
And the comic books about World War II history or just in general archaeology. So if they're digging over in like in England stuff, people find some farmers find stuff and they're because England is such like a landfill, but in a sense they have civilizations that conquered and then built top of the destroyed ruins, and then years later, someone built on top of those ruins. So they have like everybody knows well the medieval ages. Before that, they had the Anglo Saxon raid, then they had the Romans before that. So they have like all these different like stuff they're finding over the years, and people find like either you know gold coins from like Henry III, or Roman pennies and stuff, or just Roman burial grounds. It's just it's called Time Team. They come out for 3 days and they do this stuff. So I've been watching those documentaries. It's been fun. And then just the World War II documentaries, not the History Channel. This is usually through Timeline or through other people. There's guys in Mark Felton, and just learning more stuff about history stuff.
Well, history is
And so
always
usually,
good.
like get ready for bed. I turn a documentary on. I watched one or two. By the third one, I'm out.
All right. Dominic says, "Are you still reading 20th Century Man from Image?" I am, but I admit that I'm behind on it. So it's kind of been stacking up. But I am still buying it. It's on my pull list. So yes, but Undead Quinn says, "I Hate Fairyland" is one not to skip. I read a little bit of the original I Hate Fairyland. I like Scotty Young. I actually think he's a pretty good writer.
Scotty does
His
know.
his Middle West was a good story. I Hate Fairyland was not my particular cup of tea. Have you ever read it, Vinkin?
Never heard of it.
You haven't heard of I Hate Fairyland?
Never heard of it.
Oh, um, it's
It was a buy. What company?
Scott. It's Image. It's
Uh,
Scotty Young written and drawn. So
Scotty Young does all the cartoon stuff,
yeah, he
right?
does the cartoony art.
And that's probably why I
Yeah,
didn't read it or
yeah,
hear of it.
it's very cartoony. But it's a comic. Like it's a comedy book. It's not meant. It's like kind of like a spoofy kind of book. I didn't really like it because I thought it was a little too crass. Like it's not. I'm very picky when it comes to humor. I only certain types of comedy work for me, and other kinds of comedy just fall flat. So I'm not faulting anyone else that likes it. Obviously, it's a popular book, but yeah, I just certain types of humor don't work for me. Um, and sort of like the dick and fart jokes. Like I don't when it's just like I'm funny because I'm being crude and crass. Like doesn't the other kind of humor that doesn't work for me is like embarrassment humor, where people something happens to them, it's like super embarrassing and everyone laughs. Um, that doesn't. Jay says he's fading out later, guys. See you. See ya. Well, all right, man. Sorry you can't make it for the rest of the show. What are your thoughts on Radiant Black and its spinoffs? I'm super pro Radiant Black and its spin-offs. I love the fact that there's like actually a shared universe within Image Comics. Like how long has it been? 30 years? Like go. There's like four, I think there's like four comics in this universe now. One of them I hear is really good because it's Ryan Perot's writing it. But Radiant Black, that first issue of Radiant Black, I want to kill it with fire. That was one of the most terrible issues of comics I read that year. I hated that book. So I'm pro the idea of it, and I want it to be good. But what I read of that particular book, I did not like. Have you read any of that stuff, RDB? Speaking of fading
Yeah,
out,
here.
have you read any of the Radiant Black or its spin-off books?
Nah, it looks boring to me.
All right. So there's the
It's like
definitive answer from RDV.
Ultra Mega Man. I have no interest.
It
Or
did
whatever that's
not.
called.
It did not win him over. You didn't. You didn't like Ultra Mega? Oh man. Now we can't be friends.
Ultra Mega Man, because I have no idea what it is. It's
Oh,
Ultra Mega. I looked at it, you were really into it.
that's so
Uh,
good.
Reading it back, I was like, I'll just read Power Rangers Dan Moore and Ryan Parrott. Instead of reading Blake.
Well, Ryan Pera is writing one of the spin-off books. I think it's called Rogue Sun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I would be interested in checking out, to be honest. I was not against the idea.
Oh,
Radiant Black, but I read that first issue and I was like, "What the f is
uh,
this shit?" I hate that character with a passion.
I picked up. I was reading Jeff Lemire's new Swamp Thing book, the Black Label, and it is a very very good book. It's like an end of the world, like it's like end of the world book. Last group of human survivors, and then like the green, and all the different basic elements, are basically like conniving the rot and stuff. You're like, just kill the humans off so we can reset the world and all that stuff. And there's this godfather and his daughter are with his tribe, and they're just like, there's like they're just trying to survive, and they're a small little town. Every month, the water gets higher and higher on the earth. So the cliff where the island they're living is slowly sinking the water. And there's only one man in the lighthouse who can save them all. But they're told not to go around and disturb him. I know, and like so, I will not say any more. But issue 2 comes out this week. It was a really good book for being for a Swamp Thing. It was Jeff Lemire. So
Wow. So this is a new book.
the new book,
I
issue
was not
2.
aware that I
Yeah,
thought Jeff Lemire did an old Swamp Thing. Oh, that's what I thought you were
no,
talking about.
no, he's doing it's a new book. I think it's gonna be yeah, post apocalyptic. Yeah, basically, yeah. But I don't want to say any more. But I'll just say Al Cullen does return at the end of the first issue. But but yeah, I won't not reveal anything else. You just go read it, check it out, see what you like. But it's their Black Label, like the magazine size.
Hmm.
Art's fairly decent too.
All right, that sounds cool. I like Jeff
But
Lemire.
for me,
I like
it,
post-apocalyptic.
and it does feel like kind of like old school Vertical. There is some people getting some gore where the old plant monster attacking people through their skulls. So it's like, yeah, like you said, it feels like old school Swamp Thing. You know,
Hmm. Well, speaking of old school, we got a new book tonight. You ready to talk about some our comics?
yeah. For $1.99, you can pick this book up.
Only a buck
Just kidding.
99. Not
Insane.
7.99 like Chroma. 1.99. That's $6 whole cheaper, Bankman.
I know.
Six
Created
whole
by Mark
dollars
Mull. Yeah. Created by Mark Millar at Netflix.
at
Is that what it
Netflix.
says? No.
Yeah, he sold his company Miller World to Netflix.
Yeah.
Um, and Netflix then essentially hired him to run it. So he runs his company that he sold to Netflix. He's got a super sweet deal. Like he basically just gets to make comics that he loves, see them adapted into movies and shows, and get paid a ton of money. And Netflix isn't going anywhere. So um, pretty cool. I'm a huge Mark Millar fan. Not everything he does is a home run, but it's usually a base hit. Like I'm rarely ever disappointed. When I heard about this book, I was super excited because it was a buck 99. I tried to share it with everyone I could because we need comics to be cheaper, not more expensive. And this is an experimental book that he thinks the same way. He thinks comics are too expensive and he wants to like lower the price. And so in his mind, he's like, I need to do what I think. Like I can't expect other people to do what I'm not willing to do. So he's like, if I put this book out and it does really well, we can have more books and then hopefully if there's more books they'll put pressure on like the Marvel and the DCs of the world to not be just constantly raising their prices and maybe actually lower their prices. But we'll see. It seems to me, from my observation, maybe I'm wrong, it seems to me that people almost rather would pay more money for comics. Um, I don't.
I,
It boggles my
it
mind.
depends. It depends on the book. You could put $1.99 book out there, but if the book is still crap, I'm not. Even though it's cheaper,
Of
that's the
course,
problem.
of course.
Yeah,
However, most of Marvel and DC is crap, and people buy it, and they're not buying
it's
this,
if
and it's
you're
a buck 99.
most of it, not all of it though.
I know. I said most, not all. There's some good
Yeah,
stuff, but
like I said, I wade through the bullshit on both sides. like come across books I do like.
And look, I'm not
But
telling you're not you don't
no,
necessarily apply to this because
no, no,
you're getting Nightclub. What I'm talking about are the
yeah,
people. I'm not saying don't buy Marvel and DC and only buy Nightclub. I'm not saying stop buying those other. I'm saying support these also because it's an extra $1.99 per month. Like that's not. I think most people can do that. And if
I would just say, guys, get this. Then while you have your book, go to Costco, get your soda and your hot dog, and eat it and drink your soda while you're reading this.
yeah, like I think if every person who bought comics just also added this to their poll because it was a $1.99, it would be the number one comic, and it would send a huge message to the industry like we'll buy comics if they were cheaper. Like the problem is the comics are too expensive. I'm not saying stop buying the other comics you like, but every person could just add a $1.99 per month to get this book. It's for only 6 issues. Um, but what are you gonna do? There's a lot of people not buying this book because they're like, whatever. I'd rather pay $5.99 for this shitty DC book. I don't know what to tell
I've
you.
been reading in basically Born of Blood, which is like basically a prequel to like the 300 in a sense. It's not done by Frank Miller, but you know the guy who's
Mm-hmm.
writing it uh, really adapted it well. And then it's tying into two other books, you know, that Aaron Spiro's working on with Joe Corral and stuff. Is helping out too. This is Overberg Publishing. Their world building, basically what Blaze was going to do with their superhero world, they're doing already with their books. You have three titles, six issues each, and then they're going to cross over. So, like I said, I've been checking out more indie books
Mm.
through Lunar Press.
And Quinn says Nightclub has been so good, but then he says it's not my top reads. So I don't understand, Undead, what you're saying there. It seems a little contradictory. Ronnie says the number one way to make comics cheaper in price is to stop printing them on glossy paper. You can get great color printing on white newsprint, the same stuff they use for the weekly ads. Um,
which is true because I
yes,
think the Flash book was just done on regular newspaper.
yes, but here's the thing: there's no motivation for comics companies. They're not trying to lower prices. That's the thing. They want higher prices because it's a bigger profit margin, right?
Sure.
If you take 50% of a 5.99 comic, it's much more profit than 50% of a $1.99 comic.
Yeah, I think I misspoke. I don't mean I think it's I meant to say AW Upshot is doing their own superhero stuff, not Ablaze.
Yeah. Um so the and this book here, by the way, is not cheaply produced. This is not like uh and no disrespect to our friends over at oh geez, I'm drawing a blank. Alterna Comics. Alterna does the newsprint comics. They're a $1.99. I would love to support Alterna, but my comic book store doesn't get them. They're super hard to buy. Alterna decided to go to a direct distribution method, which I think is dumb. You can't order them from Dime anymore. It's another story. But my point is, they do the newsprint. They do the cheap. I was buying them, but Mark Millar didn't do that. He didn't like cut the quality to make this book cheaper. He just literally said, "I'm going to make it a $1.99." The price that are on these books is it's not arbitrary, but it's a decided thing. Like they decide how much money they want to make and how much they have. Basically, they say how much can we sell this comic for. That's what they're really doing. Will the reason why comics are still $3.99 is because they don't think they can get away with the $4.99. But there are some $4.99 books like Batman. It's like always the big ones that people will buy for sure. Like no one's gonna stop buying Batman, so they could do that. And once those they get you used to it, and then the rest start following suit. So we're very close to a stage where all Marvel comics and all DC comics are gonna be $4.99, but it's the popular ones first. And then of course you'll have the special covers like the card covers that DC does where they charge you an extra dollar. So those are $5.99. But Mark, he didn't do that here. So that's what I'm saying. He didn't cut corners. Well, maybe here on the art. That's the one thing about this book. If I were going to criticize this book, it's not one of the top artists. But that being said, lots of books don't have the top artists. In fact, 95% of books don't have top artists. Um, Dominic says Nightclub's in his pull box. And Undead says he does think it has quality art. And that's great. I'm not saying the art's bad. It's just not, it's not it's like some of the guys. Like, like the other book that Millar's doing right now has got Jorge Jimenez. Like, come on. Top tier artists require bigger pay. So that factors in. Let's get into this comic though. For those of you that aren't following it, by the way, we are going to spoil. We're going to spoil the book. If you don't like spoilers, this is your opportunity to tune out. This is kind of a retrospective of the book. Just a quick recap here. Basically, the main character is a high school kid, and he meets meets a vampire. He gets like in an accident. He's stuck in the hospital. He meets this guy who's a vampire. Who's like a cop. He's got this plan. He wants to do something. What is the plan? We don't actually know because he's cryptic about it. But he turns this kid into a vampire against his own will. But you can kind of say it's okay because the kid was like on his deathbed. So it's like he didn't just like take someone out of, he didn't like kidnap someone and turn him into a vampire. It's like he maybe saved this kid's life. So you're not really sure. That's up to you, the reader, to decide whether you think it's okay what he did or not. This book is written in a very accelerated pace. If you're used to the decompression of modern Marvel and DC, you're getting the opposite here. This book is almost too fast, in my opinion. What would you say? Would you concur with that, RDB, or have a different opinion?
Yeah, like I said, I've been really enjoying it. Just the whole thing. It just feels like a young Spider-Man, but instead of Spider-Man, you have it's almost like a. Ryan would get this. It's like Iron Man Armored Avengers, the cartoon, when Tony got his came Iron Man, Rhodey and Pepper helped him out.
Right.
But
But
in this case, is he ends up getting his friend's powers.
but to
So
the question I asked, do you find the pacing to
I
be a little bit too brisk?
no, I thought it was actually pretty done pretty well
Okay. Um,
because it's only gonna be like a couple of issues though, as far as I recall. It's not gonna be
I
like
thought it was
ongoing
5 or
thing. So
6.
yeah, so and they get a huge story to get going to. We don't. All we know is that he was chosen to be on this vampire team, I think. But then he went and created his own, his friend's powers. So now this cop, who is a vampire who basically saved his life, what's he gonna think about this? He's gonna become their new enemy. You know, why is he taking a bunch of kids, turning them into vampires? Like, is he really this Dracula and just wants to have his own personal private army, or is he like a good person? I mean, we don't know anything, but right now, all I know is the kid, he's being a kid, would just do this to change his friends, and just it's such a kid thing to do. He's only like 15. This is like Peter Parker. Peter Parker would be like, hey, guys, I'm Spider Man, and like let's do this. This kid, even before this, he's an idiot. He did it. He wanted to do parkour to get famous on YouTube. That's how he got his problem. So of course he's gonna do this with his friends. He's gonna like, hey, we could all be like superheroes, or use the money to make to do school. We could be famous. It includes all the vampire tropes. So I thought it was really done really well.
I'm enjoying this book. Um, like I said, I'm a Mark Millar fan. I'm gonna be honest, it's not my favorite Mark Millar book. I'm not sure how much I would be enjoying this book if it were $3.99. I mean, obviously I would enjoy it the same, but would I be feeling like I got my money's worth for a buck 99? This book is awesome. Like I'll put this up against most Marvel books, and it's half the price. Um, but when I compare it to Mark Millar's other books, I go, oh, it's not his best work. But I do really enjoy it. I do feel it's a little bit too fast paced. That first issue almost felt like a recap. It just was like boom, 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 boom. here you go, boom, you're a vampire. Like, and I get that Mark's probably just wanting to get you into the story, and so he doesn't want to spend too much time on this long origin. And it's not an origin of just one guy; it's an origin of three, right? Because he's got the two friends. Um, but some people like that, so maybe that's just my taste. I mean, some people like decompressed stories as well. Um, so it's a minor thing. It's not a deal breaker. I'm still enjoying it. I just kind of wish it was stretched a little bit more. Just take just take the speed down just a notch is all. But um, be that as it may, in this issue, we got left off where the last issue just got left off with the main character just coming to his friends and being like, "Yo, hey, I got powers!" like, and they're just like, "Holy shit!" And they're like nerds. They're the kids that get beat up all the time. And so this happens and they freak out and he chases them down and we get some action scenes um, where they're he tackles one of his friends into a cab and he's trying to tell him and his kid's freaking out and then the taxi guy pulls the gun on him. Eventually reveals uh, that who he is, but then he's like sees his friend, he's like, "Oh yeah, oh, that didn't go as expected." And he like looks and sees that the other friend is like a mile away, still running. And she's just like, um, and it's like here's a good example. And actually, I find this to be really efficient storytelling, where that scene happens, and then the last panel is like, maybe I should just give her a call, and then the next panel is you're a vampire, like having a conversation. So he didn't need to like show you the conversation of the phone call. I feel like if this were like the Marvel or modern Marvel or DC book with like the bad writers, they would have like written the phone call conversation out and you'd have had to go through all that. Mark's like he calls his friend, moving on. Like you don't need to know all that. And so I do like that. Um he shows off his powers. Again, a lot of this is just real quick explanation for the reader to understand, like, hey, why is this kid like his mom is okay with it or whatever, and they have to explain how the parents are hypnotized and all this stuff. So this book, it just quickly works you through the paces, and then he's like, I want to get my friends to be superpowers, and they're like the girls, the boys like, I don't want to do that, and then the girl's like, oh yeah, I'll do it because she's like a loser and doesn't have a life, and so she's like, cool, like I got nothing going for me. um and he turns her. It's pretty gruesome, of course. And then it takes 3 days to turn, so like you're dying for 3 days. So again, it skips over. Boom, 3 days have happened, and she wakes up. She's like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?" And we find out that, oh, look, the friend is also, and it's a quickly like, oh yeah, after I got you, he decided he didn't want to be alone without power, so he went with it. And so you don't need to go through this long. It is like Miller's really good at that efficient storytelling and just getting you on par. Um, and then boom, there we are. Where now there are three of them. He bought them luchador masks on Amazon, and they're off playing superhero and they're training. He's like teaching them their powers, how they can turn into bats, and it's very like cliche vampire stuff. Like Miller tells the story very much like whatever you see in the movies, that's pretty much how vampires work. At least that's what his teacher told him. And so he's teaching them how to turn into bats and stuff. And there's a scene where like they're on the roof of the car, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oof!" and they get pulled off. And they're like, "What the hell?" And they realize the car was going over a bridge. So you get to learn like, "Oh yeah, you can't go across moving water." And then they talk about the school bully, and the kid's like, "Oh shit, man, I'm gonna have to deal with him." He's like, "Oh, but are you crazy? Like, remember we're vampires?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And so they go deal with the school bully, and then they go show off playing basketball. I thought this was a little kind of cringy the way this handled, but maybe
This
for
is
kids.
yeah, this is what you do if you've been picked on the hard time. This is how you get revenge, and they
Yeah,
learn
it
from
is.
their
This
mistakes.
might. I'm confessing this might be just me not relating to kids. So, um, and then the school bully guy gets pissed off, and he's like, man, because he just got showed up. And so he's embarrassed. Now he's gonna like, I'm gonna kick your ass. And then of course he gets the ball slammed in his face. Um, and the kid who was getting picked on all the time. Now he's got his little revenge, and that's the end of the issue. So again, super fast. Like I think this is Mark getting this all out of the way so we can get to the bigger story. Um, is that how you feel, or do you feel different? RDV.
Yeah, still here.
Is that how you feel, or do you feel different?
Uh, he'd repeat again. I'm faded, man. Tired.
No, as I'm trying to keep you up. Um, I know I was saying like there's really quick the way the story is told here. It feels like Mark Millar's trying to get all the setup out of the way to like, okay, here's who these kids are. Here's how they got their powers. This is what they're doing. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, now boom, now we can actually we know who everyone is.
Well,
Now
the
we can go
next
tell a
issue,
story.
yeah, the next issue shows the guy who turns him on the cover, the villain. Well, we don't know if he's gonna be the villain or not, but it's for what it is. Yeah, I think that's him right there. Isn't that the or it
I
might
don't
be
think
someone
that's him.
different.
That's yeah, no.
So either way, it's basically we gave the kids powers. Now we're gonna pit them because they did this. Maybe this is a rival group of vampires. See these kids
Right.
now. Now you're in our territory.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Or you
They're
picked up my son. You know, he played basketball. Now he's coming out with retribution. I don't know. It's like I said, Austin. I've been asleep since I was on Ankle Teen stream. But like I said,
it's
I hope it's gonna be good. And it's been fun. I would love to have Jorge Jimenez art on this.
well, of course. I'd love to have Jorge Jimenez on most comics, but he can only draw one or two at the most. Um,
Well, these are so small issues. You could draw them.
they're not that. It's a full size issue.
They feel really short because they're fast paced.
They're really fast paced, and he doesn't clog up like you can see here. There's not tons of dialogue to read.
True.
Miller is a really efficient storyteller. I gotta say, all of his books are like this. This one is a little bit faster paced than normal, which is maybe I'm a little more sensitive to it. But if you read his other book that we're reading right now, Nemesis, all his books just move at a brisk clip. He doesn't waste time with nonsense filler stuff. Like he just is always on top of the story, and it feels good in my opinion.
Yeah, the
Um,
last teenager story I read was Deadly Class. It's a lot faster paced
yeah.
and more
Um,
more joking, more comedy.
I do feel like this book is targeting a younger audience. Like
Yep.
I feel like this book is really like Mark being like, I'm gonna reach Gen Z, which is
It
nothing
seems like
wrong with
Mark.
that.
It's like Mark going after Invincible audience in a
Yeah, it could
sense.
be. Yeah, like he's really wanting the younger because the way the characters are uh, and stuff. It just yeah, I feel like this is he's like Gen Z. Please read my comic. Um, because most of his other stuff that I read tends to feel like it's more my generation, but that's just my observation. Do you have a different one or
Again, different opinion
about
on what
do
he's.
you would you agree or do you feel differently that this book feels like it's targeting a younger
Well,
generation than
it's
most of his
it's
other
it's definitely
books?
it's definitely towards kids. This isn't on Jupiter's Legacy.
Right. So
Um, and that's the only other book I know by him other than Superman Adventures that he did or Superman book. I don't read a lot of Mark books.
you get that changed. We'll get that changed. So, but you're all liking this book. Seems like you're
Yeah,
liking it even more than I am.
yeah, it's a good setup books. You know, you get you said it feels like well, like I said, it's aimed for kids. This is basically kind of like Cobra Kai the cast.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah, it does have a Cobra Kai type. Yeah, it feels like it's targeting that.
That's
Yeah,
the main kid. You know. Yeah.
yeah. I could totally see them casting this as like a Netflix show and like putting the kid as the main. That's funny. Um, yeah, it feels a little cliche, but it's not offensively so. I think that's kind of the point. I think that he's trying to keep it simple and real approachable. Feels like the book is meant to be like maybe someone's first comic, you know, like it's not necessarily meant to be like, oh, this is for comic aficionados. Like this is just anyone can pick this up, especially if they're maybe like a teenager and be like, oh yeah, this is cool, you know. Um, we'll see if it's a Netflix thing. I do know from hearing Mark Millar in interviews and stuff, he said that his deal at Netflix is not to do comics. In fact, he actually asked Netflix kind of for permission to do the books, to which they were really accommodating, saying, "Yeah, please do some comics." Everything that he does at Netflix is for TV and movies. And what he said is most of the stuff he writes is strictly just to be a movie or TV, but some of the stuff he does, he wants to like do it in a comic form. And so sometimes we're going to get things that will be done into comics, or sorry, comics that will be done into movies, but sometimes it's like this has already been in development to be a TV show or movie, and he just there's no he's not getting paid per se to make into a comic. He's doing it for the love of comics. So I don't know which one this is. You have any final
I
thoughts
tell you,
on?
I'll tell you this: it's better than original The Vampire
I'm not familiar with that one.
on Sci-Fi. It's basically the fat Ned Lee kid from
Oh,
Spider-Man. He's bald and
well, the
he's
fat
out.
Ned Lee kid could probably be cast as this guy.
True. Oh dear God, that'd be so annoying. Except for it's like no.
I do have to say a small pet peeve, not a deal breaker at all, but a small pet peeve of this artist, how he draws them with like one tooth out of their mouth. I I feel like it's a stylistic choice, but he does that quite a bit.
You know what it reminds me of? Those two thick grins you see when you see the anime girls when they come like the kid get like almost get like the cat grin.
Yeah,
Oh, it might be kind of called to manga or anime.
yeah. It's just like almost like remind the reader, like, yep, he's a vampire. Remember, like we got to show the one tooth. Um, all right. We'll move on to the next book. This, by the way, just a little ad here. Ambassadors. If you are a
I
Mark
saw
Millar
I,
fan,
I saw that.
if you're a Mark Millar fan like me, you want to be aware of this. If you're not a Mark Millar fan, you need to check Mark Millar because he's one of the best guys in the business right now. He's doing a series with the talent you see on the right. From what I understand, it's a 6-issue series. It's
Oliver
being
Copiel and Frank Quality. I'm sold.
it's it's told apparently from what I've heard of it, it sounds like the book um what was that vampire? Um
Twilight.
no, not Twilight. What was the Brad Pitt vampire movie?
Interview with the Vampire,
No, the other one, the recent one.
the recent one.
Yeah, well he's not a vampire. No, it's not a vampire movie. It's undead. It was a zombie movie.
Oh, World War
Um
Z.
World War Z. In the for if you're anyone who's familiar with the book World War Z, the book is like a series of like interviews by this character, and it's of after the World War Z. So it's like and so a lot of people that read the book were pissed off about the movie because the movie didn't tell it like that. It told it like a real event. Anyways, apparently from what I understand about Ambassadors is each issue is kind of like that. Like it's a not necessarily an interview, but it's like an individual. So each book is going to be a different artist featuring a different story about this whole thing. Um,
This scream they cover right there, the way the girl is drawn, like the glow and stuff. This screams really indie. You know,
really?
kind of reminds me of Planetary. How they how they draw some of the characters,
I don't
the
know,
art.
man. When I see Frank Wiley, I think top notch. But
Well, I don't know. Is that even Frank Wiley?
yeah, that's Frank Wiley.
Oh, see, I did not know.
Oh, his art's very distinctive to me.
It looks different from his other one, on
Um,
yeah. I was gonna say Undead Joe.
but
No,
Travis
on
Charest, man, Travis Charest. I hope that he's
who?
still got the magic. Travis Charest is amazing.
No
Um,
idea.
yeah. If I showed him this work to you, you would know. Mateo Scalera is one of my favorite current artists in the business. You like Mateo Scalera? He did the White Knight Harley Quinn.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he's good. And then of course Oliver Copio, or however you pronounce his name, is pretty good. And I love also Frank Wiley.
Dude, he's probably out of all of them. He's probably the best artist out of all of them. Oliver
Um,
Coppola.
Now here
Oh
we're gonna
yeah,
see on the left the nice cheesecake book that RDV will be getting. Ooh la
Emily
la.
Brooks Miller. Okay.
Stomps. Can't pass
Only
that
on
up.
Wednesday.
Tell us how it is, RDV.
Ugh, that now that art. I'd rather look at Space Lady.
You're so funny. Um, and then there's Nemesis, which we are currently reading, but
Yes.
it's not this week. Um,
Red
and
Rooster's back.
Red Rooster.
Sorry. Uh,
All right. I'm finding the next. What was the next book we were doing? Oh yeah, it's a little book you may have heard of
it's
called
called erotic. It's called erotic, right?
E-Ratic. Yeah.
Erotic.
No, it's not. It is E-Ratic, and it is there. It is E-Ratic Recharged. Takes me a second to find it. Is it gonna load for me? Come on, load.
As you go into the comic book store, do you have erotic? It's like you're like, what? It's the best comic book out. Like
Why is
Kari
this not
Andrews.
loading?
And Kari Andrews is going to be working on issues 25 and 26 of the Amazing Spider-Man. He's doing the covers. There it
Nice.
is.
Kari
The only
Andrews should
problem
be
is
doing.
though, it's like people are saying like, "Oh, something tragic is going to happen." And it has MJ on the cover of issue 25. Is like, "Oh, great. We'll probably get an original sin part 2."
Now Erratic is who
Here's the other 15-year-old kid who's not a vampire,
he's not a
but
vampire.
he,
No.
yeah. Um, so if you haven't been reading through this series, this is a second volume. I recommend you stop right now, go read the first four, and then come back and then watch this after you're done. And this is the last issue of the second volume, man. It is a fun series, and it's just I love the fact it's built around a 15-year-old kid, and if real 15-year-old kids' personalities like that. And yeah, it's what do you do when you only have 10 minutes? Use your powers, and after that, your powers run out, and then you're like a normal human being again. And then you have now otherworldly threats, and then now your government's after you. So, and
What
then
do
your
you
and your
do?
yeah, and then your father comes back. Can you trust your father? Should you trust your father?
Well, according to Erratic's author, you should not trust your father. This is a bad dude. And he's not even bad like because he's just a villainous person. Like he's bad dude because he's just shitty. Like it's man. This
All right.
dad made me sick. Um, real quick, sum up. I'm not going to sum up all the issues, but where we left off was the main character Oliver, his dad, who's been missing from like the whole first series, had shown up in this series out of the blue. Oliver, of course, being a kid, wants to reunite with his dad or whatever. And his dad is, seeming to be like cool and everything, and ends up betraying him at the end of the last issue and just turned him into the government. In this world, superheroes are called reborns, and the government's not too happy about reborns, and they're trying to regulate them. And what's so we get that first kind of interaction with the greater shared universe as a whole that Erratic is a part of in this, although it's very minor. So now he's in this testing facility, and the dad is there, like watching Oliver get tested, and they're zapping him. And you know, his dad is like, hey, let me see if I can try it. The problem is Oliver's powers. He doesn't have his powers because they only last for 10 minutes. So the testing facility is like, display your powers so we can see. And he's like, I can't do it. And they're like, you're a
He used him
liar,
up. Yeah,
Um,
he used him up last issue training.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so Oliver sees his dad. He's like, let me try to talk to him because his dad doesn't understand either. His dad knows he has powers, and his dad basically turned in his son because he's,
what's a big
I don't
mile?
know, like he's scared or like he just thinks. One of the things I love about this comic so much is like the commentary on like society and sociology and like how people like cave to government authority when they're afraid. They're not, and they'll end up doing like really bad things like murdering millions of Jews because they don't want to be the ones who get taken away in the middle of the night. So they turn in their Jewish neighbors. Um, and it's not because they're maniacal evil people. It's just because they're like, ooh, if we don't do this, they're gonna come for us. So, and that's kind of like what his dad is seeming to be, kind of one of those type of people. Like he's, oh, we turn my son in, everything will be okay. Like, and so of course they're evil and they're torturing his son and whatnot. Um, we get some more commentary at the school because these agents have come to town because they've detected the reborn. And so they've taken all the kids and put them under these security collars, and it's very kind of dystopian, but in a very like tongue in cheek kind of way. So the book never is like too serious about it. Um, and we come to find out in a little bit of a cliche fashion, the main villain guy, the government agent who's been behind us all, he's got superpowers, and he confesses in his villainous monologue. He says, I've built a career hunting reborns. The only way to stay out of the camps myself. And I wasn't just accepted. I was celebrated. I rose in power and prestige and profits. And when I ran out of reborns to hunt, I created the idea of a reborn. You see, I know trickery. I know about hiding in plain sight. Um, and but the way Kari Andrews executes this, he takes things and you go, oh, that's kind of, we've seen that a million times before, but you don't mind it because it's so well done and how he does it. At least for me, I'm just like, cool, you just do whatever. I don't care. I just love the personalities of these characters, how they interact with each other. Um, and she's trying to unlock these powers of the void. And since Ollie can't have powers, he thinks, oh man, you've been lying to me, you've been tricking me. But he knows that someone has powers, so he thinks it's the girl. And then she's like, well, I don't have powers. You're wrong. What are you doing? And he's like, well, you know, she's like, what if you're wrong about me? He's like, then you'll be vaporized. And she's like, what? And so at the last minute, when the void's about to open and funnel through, all he gets, does he get his powers back? No, he doesn't get his powers back. Yeah, he does get his powers back, I think, but he doesn't know. He just kind of blocks her out of the way. The void opens up, goes through him, and because he is the reborn, the powers funnel through to him, and he gets, um, powered up. As he says, "You're filling me up with power beyond all time and space." And
And you see him, he's like, "Oh my gosh!"
and
His
he's
face.
and then Ollie's just getting vaporized, and he falls down. And what's her name? Is her name Kristen?
I think so.
I think it's Kristen. She's like, "Oh no, Ollie, Ollie," and you don't really see his face yet, but then you hear like, but now I understand the truth of it. Eventually, the void swallows all. And she's like, "You sound changed." And she looks back. You have no idea. And he's turned into full on like Venom mode, just this monstrous beast thing. But at the last
And then
minute, Ollie's uh,
friend,
pseudo love triangle interest, who's like
who appeared,
basically Thor,
yeah,
like
she,
female Thor
she,
done right. Um,
yeah, she came through the void in this volume, and then she was trapped there. So then, and then Christina, whenever she got jealous and started basically treating him like a dweeb again, left him, dumped him, and then yeah, ever since then, she's been trying to like upset with him, and
Right.
he's like, "What? I didn't do anything at all." So,
Yeah, it's
so
really fun.
so this monster on the right, we thought of like, oh my gosh, is that his venom? Is that his enemy?
Yeah, because his name is Eradicator.
Yeah,
This yellow guy is named Eradicator, and you're like, what the hell?
yeah.
So she shows up and she's like, I have sworn a blood oath of vengeance to, eradicate the void. So then they get in a big old fight, always down for the count. And
Look at his body down there; it's like petrified. So
yeah,
skeleton.
like it's just, yeah, he's wasted. Like, look, he's
Oh,
just
he's a
destroyed. And you're
zombie.
like, oh my God, how does Ollie's dead? And, a horrible, she's like, this is a dream. This is a horrible nightmare. Today time ends and the afterwards begins. And, she's about to be swallowed whole.
And he's
And then
revived.
then we see power cycle complete. And all of a sudden, because that's the whole thing about it, all these powers, he has them for 10 minutes and then they go and he has to recharge. So his powers, I guess before his powers didn't come back, his powers do now, and it revives him. And just in the time, and we get kind of like the Neo moment at the end of the Matrix, and he's just like full on powered up, let go of my girlfriend. And we we get this dial or this inner monologue portion that tries to explain things, and where Ollie's hearing from himself. I learned the day my powers first arrived that 10 minutes can feel like an eternity, but only if you try to escape. What if you accepted all you could become at once? Turn 10 minutes into a single moment and let forever happen right now. What's after forever? Maybe that doesn't have to be some dark future. Maybe it's right here, right now. Life only happens in a moment, not a minute more. And so he's basically gone Super Saiyan, destroys the monstrous creature, and saves his friends. And
I love
we
this.
get to
She's like, yeah, he's just trying to keep you away from your father, but his clock is almost up, and I'm going back with him. I'll see you later.
well, there's a kind of a twist. You find out that Eradicator
Yeah,
is actually Ollie from the future.
yeah.
Because he's like, what, you showed up with that thing. And she says, that thing is you. I told you you aren't dictated by time and space. You can control it. Future you found me and helped me escape the clutches of those shape shifting imposters. You'll figure it out when you're bigger, much bigger. But me tried to kill me. And then she's like, explains, oh, he was just trying to keep you from your father. And she's like, yep, see you later. And then, of course, I just love this, like, Kristen or whatever her name is. She's all super jealous. Like, what is happening? That future you is dating that princess? Princess? Goddess? I guess. And then she's like, we'll see about that. And this is just like teenage boy fantasy stuff. Like, it's like Kari distinctly remembers what it's like to feel like a 15-year-old boy. Um,
One
and
minute she wants him, and then she doesn't want him. It's like
this
she can't make her mind.
nothing makes a woman want you more than realizing a hot
She can't have you.
woman wants you more. And she can't have you. Like,
Yeah.
it's um and of course, like, this is just teenage stuff, and it's just I think he nails it. It works for me. We get the kooky scientist who kind of, again, it's like a lot of cliche. He's like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. He's kind of got that, like, oh, that's how I hear him in my head. Um
Yeah,
and
and
we
then the dad disappears.
dad disappears. We get to reunite with the mom and his brother. And they're just cool characters. And then we get this kind of cool little scene on the roof, which feels like it would be ripped right out of Spider-Man. But um, that's what this book is. Like, it feels like it's
Like it feels like Deadly Class mixed with Spider-Man. For me, get the outcasts hanging together.
So, what the hell?
I don't know.
Um, anyways, I just realized that the town is called Maple. Is it Mapleville or Mapleton?
Yeah, Maple.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I think this is Canada. I think Kari Andrews is Canadian, and I think this story takes place in Canada. And that would make these characters feel even like more like understandable. Like I like these feel like Canadian characters. Anyway, that's neither here nor
Oh,
there.
oh, Canadian,
Um,
eh?
I could just totally. This feels like the way if it was a Canadian TV show. It just has a little bit of that feel to it. I don't mean that in a bad way. I love this book through and through. The ending wasn't quite as climactic as I was expecting, but it still
The
felt
brother,
very
he's like, dude, the brother here at the end, he's like, oh, he's like,
yeah.
his mom's like, I'm glad you're home. He's so being. He's like, and the brother's like, I have I'm feeling a strange sense of love bringing. No, just tacos. It's past gas. The brother is just horrible.
He's kind of like the cliche like dumb jock brother. Like I read him in
Yeah,
like a I'm feeling a strange sense of love brewing in my oops. Oh, nope, just
he, he
tacos.
he's like
Like
he's like Chet.
yeah. Um so I love this book. Um like I said, I don't think it ended as well as I'd hoped. It started off where I was like, it's not quite as good as the first book, and in the middle of the series, I was like, it's better than the first book. And by the end, I'm like, nah, not quite as good. The first series ended better in my opinion, but I'm not dissatisfied. I'm thoroughly loved into this book. I normally hate love triangles, but somehow Kari Andrews pulled it off in this book with the princess and this Kristen girl or Christina, whatever her name is. Um, I love the use of the future. Like I never saw that coming for whatever reason. Um, he's I was like, oh, and the fact that it's like his future version, and somehow in the future he saves her from the void, and so that now she comes back to like help him fight the void early on, and I love that circular kind of storytelling. Um, just really cool stuff. This book is super fun. This is everything I loved when I first got into Spider-Man. Like what got like I finally like it clicked for me, and I was like, oh, Spider-Man's so cool. It was this style of comic. Um, and I wish Spider-Man. This is the legacy Spider-Man deserves. It needs to be this good, and it's really sad that a small little
Did,
company
did oh, did you say
is.
legacy?
Yeah, I did. It's really sad that a small little comic publisher is outdoing Marvel at their own game. But I
Well,
highly urge you guys. The first trade is only $9.99, and it's it's 5 issues, but into one trade. $9.99, super worth it. This is the kind of comic I believe you'll go back and read over and over. Maybe not at once, but you'll come back and revisit because it's super fun. Um, what do you have to say more about it?
much more than like I said. It's another one of those books. It's not as fast paced as Nightclub, but it's still worth the price. Kari Andrews, for me, his art really worked on this. Did not care for the Amazing Fantasy, even though other people liked it on that. I think it fits more of this because it's his creation, his storytelling. We're using he's creating his own characters how they look.
Hmm.
Where him taking his how he draws the characters here and trying to draw Peter Parker, it didn't sit well with me.
Fair
I was
enough.
like, I already because I don't need Peter Parker. We got Erratic, like you know, but and it's just it always blows my mind. Like this is the same guy that gave Peter Parker radioactive sperm that killed Mary Jane. Every single time I read this, so it's
Right.
like wow. Um, I could see this being a TV series. No, in the retrospective, because it's kind of like a Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And that's how he writes this. He's a younger brother. He's got to deal with this. He's smarter than his older brother, and he's just got to deal with all this stuff. And then he gets powers on top of it. And his mom's single, and just it's just his world's upside down. He's got everything's happening at once. He's got aliens coming after him. And just it's just so weird. It's crazy. It just feels like this is basically written for kids.
It's
So if
it's
you're looking for kids, yeah, if you want
it's
to give
it
kids
doesn't
something,
feel like it's
yeah.
written for kids. It feels like it's written for all audiences.
Well, this is something you can give to your kids and have
It
them
is
read with you.
it's safe for kids for sure. Yeah, like this would be something I
Except,
would
yeah,
definitely feel comfortable sharing with my kids,
no,
or even getting it for them. Like if they liked it. But it's not a. I only wanted to clarify that because I don't want anyone to mistake this as like a kiddie book. It's not a kiddie book. Like it will not insult you. It will not make you feel like you know. Oh, I'm just reading dumb kids. Like it's not. Like it's 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 almost kind of the way like Pixar does things. This is not like a Pixar story, but in the same vein, how like you can watch a Pixar movie and you can go, oh
you
yeah,
can watch
the kids will
Invincibles.
get into this,
Yeah,
but there are things in the movie that will go right over the kids' heads. Like you're like, oh, like only the adults are getting this. This book feels like that too. Like Kari's writing it for adults, but he's writing it also in a way that it will have things that kids would it's all that's why I said all audiences. It has something for everyone. That's my opinion.
all right.
All right, let's see. Um,
Every time
where's
I see that cover, though, I think of Ninja Turtles or Akira, all those
oh
old
really?
animes.
I think of the
Yeah.
Miles Morales. What was it? The Spider Verse.
Uh,
It reminds me of that. Let's see. Zach reminds us that Kingsman was really good. He wants to read Magic Order. Um, let's see. I thought about picking up the Invincible Omnibus volumes. It will be a while since to heal them. That's a good way. You're talking about the compendiums, which are basically like soft cover omnibuses. They're
yeah,
like
I got
50 issues each. That's a really good, efficient way to get them. But they're like tomes, man. they're heavy.
yeah. It is 0 through 42. I picked it up.
Austin says I've never been attracted to Miller's writing. I think he's competent, but not my cup of tea. Well, that's because you have no taste in
Well,
comics. I
well, that's the
kid.
thing,
I
though. I don't get.
kid. I kid. I kid.
I just want to say that I don't get attracted to people's writings. That's just weird.
Yeah, he only gets
Attract-
attracted to the art. That's
I
why.
get
That's why he
attracted
reads
to actually.
Dynamite and Xenoscope
I get attracted to human beings very much,
and pictures of
but
human beings.
yes.
Dominic says the ambassadors looks interesting after reading the premise. I agree. The description of World War Z book just got me interested in the book. I really like stories that are written like diary entries. If that is the case, the best book I've ever read that's written like that is called The Martian. Highly, highly recommend The Martian, especially if you've not seen the movie or even seen a trailer for the movie in any way, because that will ruin it for you. The less you know about The Martian going into the book, the better. One of the best books I've read in recent years, and absolutely probably the best book I've ever read that was written in a diary entry format. Um, but the movie, unfortunately, not only ruins the the concept, but also doesn't execute the story quite as well because you can't tell the story. Same with what World War Z did. Like people were like all mad about World War Z. It's like, well, you can't tell a movie that way. Like so some people like the movie The Martian or whatever. I would I would suggest it's probably because they never read the book. I read it, but if by chance you've never if you never read the book, you never seen the movie, don't see the movie. Read the book. I just want to say that. Let's see, which is one of the reasons I like the original Dracula novel so much. And Zach says it's the Punisher with swords. What are you talking about? I have no idea what Zach's comment was on that. E-Ratic's connection to Resistance by JMS is still prominent. However, the former continues to do its own thing. Plus, it's a lighter tone than Resistance. That's Dominic's comment. So, from what I understand about Spawn, says Austin, That's how. That's also how his powers work. It's a specific amount of time he can use it. At least that's how it's been described to me. I've never read Spawn. Spawn's a little different. Think of Spawn as he has a finite power bank. And every time he uses his powers, it draws from that bank, and there's like a counter that the comics would use. So it started off at like 9999, and then every time Spawn would fight and use his powers, you'd see that counter tick down. It never recharged, and once he got to 0, Spawn was dead. So he had to like try to fight without his powers. That was the premise. But then eventually Todd McFarlane, I think with Spawn 300, he got away from that. And now Spawn doesn't have the counter anymore. Spawn is that's Ronnie describes. I should have read further. Austin says he hates Diary of a Wimpy Kid. All right, I've never seen or read it. Austin says I've seen the Martian movie, but I will still read it. Cool. Read it. It will definitely, in my opinion, lose something. Since you know what's going to happen, and I don't want to say what that is because I don't want to. I want to hope that there are things you've forgotten, but there's a definite reason why the book it needs you to not know, because of the format that it uses. But if you want to discuss after you've read the book, I'd be happy to. I love that book. I actually read Lord of the Rings after seeing the movies and ended up liking them even more than the movies. Yeah, this is just. It's not a case where the book is just simply better. The book is just different, and it relies on its medium to be effective. And like I said, I can't explain why without giving it away. I don't want to give it away, but to anyone that's listen perchance listening, if you've never seen The Martian, get the book. And if you don't like reading books, get the audio book. Uh, just be aware there's 2 versions of the audiobook. Do not get the one that's narrated by Will Wheaton. And I'm not even against Will Wheaton. Actually, he did a very good narration of Ready Player One. But the guy who did the other guy whose name I'm not remembering off the top of my head, who's not Will Wheaton, who narrated, is one of the best narrations ever. And the one thing I will say about the movie when I was listening to the book, I was like, man, if they ever made a movie out of this, Matt Damon should play. And then they cast Matt Damon. The guy who does the voice of the character um, is just nails it. Like it made the experience. And keep in mind, the book is all a diary of the character. I think his name's Mark, of his time on Mars. Um, so, and it's just so it's like read in his voice. So it's really important that the narrator like create a character voice. All right. RDV, you still awake?
Yep.
He made it. Made it to the end. What a true champ you are.
Good night, everybody.
Any books you're looking forward to? This is like one of my biggest pull weeks in a long time. This is my pull list right here. Let me switch around.
Switcheroo.
I gotta switch to sharing with you. I got 7
Sharing is
books on my pull list this week.
sharing is caring. Well, we do have. Ooh, we have 4 books that are crossing over.
4 books, huh?
Yep.
Should
We're
be
both getting
5.
We're both getting Nemesis, Nightclub, and Extreme X-Men.
You're
I
not
never
getting
bought G. I don't. I Ronin. I just never get. Not into that stuff.
I don't know if you. I think if you flip through this book and saw the art, you might change your mind.
It was Frank Miller doing Ronin, but it was Casey Jones.
Philip
I get
Tan's Philip Tan's art in this book is freaking bonkers.
looks like anime.
No, you gotta flip the art in this is so good, and it's female
Look,
protagonist, which I know you like.
it looks like the '90s anime.
It's not
It's the cover
90s
alone.
anime.
But I'm just saying it has a '90s anime style cover. The way he draws the eyes, the face in there, the guy on the left.
I just think you're being prejudiced towards Asians.
Do
Anyway,
they think they're awesome?
it's really
Without
good.
Asians, we wouldn't have anime
That's true.
or
So
anime.
so why so aren't you getting 8 billion genies?
I read it with you, but I didn't know. I did not buy it.
You got to get back on this bus. Um so Batman,
We
I thought
we
you were getting
covered 1 through 4
yeah.
on that.
Um I thought the only ones we weren't crossing over was Good Boy and Ronin.
Yeah,
You got to get back on the
and
8 billion genies bus.
White Knight.
Anyways,
The last issue for White Knight, I believe so. That is the last.
yes, the
We
last
want to
issue
play
of
the.
White Knight.
Now we got to play that game.
Now you gotta play the game. You want to play the game?
I want to play the game.
All right, we're gonna play the game. This is how we wrap the show up. For those of you that are new to the show, what we do is we bring up on League of Comic Geeks the new comics that are coming out on Wednesday. They are listed in order by popularity of users of the site and how they pull. So the most popular books will be at the top. What we do is row by row, we ask everyone to pick one and only one, no more, no less. If you skip out on a row, you're cheating. There's the It's not meant to be easy. Sometimes the rows are easy, sometimes they're hard to pick. Sometimes there's no good comics, sometimes there's lots of good comics. The idea is what is the best prediction that you can pick, like of which book. If someone came to you with these 6 books and said, which one should I'm only going to buy one book, which one should I buy? Your job is to try to pick what the best book would be. It doesn't mean you would.
Zach's awake.
It
Sorry.
doesn't. It doesn't mean you're gonna buy the book or anything like that. We realize that you may not, but just if you said, okay, out of the 6, what's the lesser of 6 evils? This one. Um, anyways, we'll start off. The top row is X-Men number 19, Wolverine number 30, Hulk number 12, Batman Beyond the White Knight number 8, Spider-Man number 5, and then Fantastic Four number 4. Mr. Vankman.
Pretty easy for me because I like both books. I got at least 2 books over there. But I'm going on Batman Beyond the White Knight.
Yeah, that's not even a contest for me. Batman Beyond the White Knight, number 1, not even close.
My runner up would be Hulk though. Ryan Otley.
That, that would probably be my runner-up as well. Um, Fantastic Four, yes, it has a nice Alex Ross cover, but at Marvel, that's a huge red flag because they only put Alex Ross on the terrible books. And Ryan North,
Ryan, I
but
like that. Yeah,
Marania is a huge Ryan North fan, so she's picking Fantastic Four.
he's Zach. He's the crying. I'm so proud.
But even Zach didn't pick Fantastic Four.
I know.
Let's see. Any book that isn't the big two and has no SJWL is a default for me. Well, you got to pick. You got to pick. You can't. That's not a pick, Austin. Because first of all, these are all big two, so you don't have an independent to back on. Uh, gotta pick. So only 2 people are willing to put themselves out and pick.
You mean it's no Kirby?
So Kirby. Kirby never did anything as good as Jonathan Hickman. Let's just be clear. Oh, you can't pass, Austin. That's cheating. The only way to play the
Oh,
game is to play it.
we just want to acknowledge his choices because he doesn't want to play the game. That's
Yeah,
all.
you gotta. Zach says, I'm with you, Ronnie. I'm tired of bats, but he sells. Well, why'd you pick him? You don't have to pick him, Zach. You can pick your Ryan North book. Um, you don't. I'm picking Batman because it's great. It's
Yep.
um All right, so Batman wins. Um, this one, but nod to Fantastic Four. Got to pick. Next row, Star Wars number 31, House of Slaughter number 12, Batgirls number 15, Captain Marvel number 46, 8 Billion Genies number 7, and Gunslinger Spawn number 17. Do you have a pick for row number 2?
8 billion genies. I feel like this is a safe bet.
Oh, yeah. Once again, you and I are in alignment. 8 Billion Genies is my pick. I don't know. We'll have to give the audience a moment because they are 8 minutes behind or 8 seconds behind us and they have to type. But are there any other books that might be a runner up for you?
Uh, it's safe on there. Uh, Gunslinger, I guess.
Yeah, Gunslinger.
Anything that's not written by Tom McFarlane. It's Spawn. I think they might be. You see, I don't know. I guess I take it back. It's Tom McFarlane writing.
Yeah, it's got Brett Booth's
Just me.
art. It's like,
I know though. I know. Can't they just switch? But I have Brett Brute right. Hold on. What does it say? Wrong solicit.
oh, I don't know what you're reading.
Comment on this. Oh, that's I get it. Okay. All right. So they put the wrong summary for the issue. Uh, I happen to see sometimes they put the wrong creator team on there too.
Yeah.
It's like it's the same as the first issue and the third issue. They did that for Avengers last time.
Hey, Zach. I want to have you retract that statement. Y'all love hating on Todd McFarlane, he says. I don't know what y'all you're talking about. It's only RDV, not me. I'm not hating on Todd McFarlane.
I love Todd McFarlane art. I just don't like him as a writer. He sucks at writing. Sorry.
It is true. He's
It's
not a great writer.
not everybody can be John Byrne.
Todd McFarlane writing is a fun type of bad writing. I can see that, Austin. Todd McFarlane to me is like, as a writer, is just sort of like it's like just getting by. It's just like it's enough to just as long as you've got really good art, it's like an excuse. Like, okay, he's not offensively bad. He's just
8 billion. Hold
uninteresting.
on.
He doesn't. He's
There, we had a question about what these comments were.
okay. What
Uh,
is that? The House of Slaughter and 8
eight,
Billion Genies. House of Slaughter. Well, I'm sorry. Were you gonna answer?
I was just
I
gonna
didn't.
answer 8 billion genies because House of Slaughter is I don't want you'd be giving away stuff. So I'm not really sure. Why should they? I don't. That was different. But I was thinking of Nice House on the Lake. Uh, 8 billion genies. That is let's just say one day everybody has a genie pops out. Everybody has an opportunity they can make a wish, and it causes chaos. And there's only this one bar where the guy makes a wish. He says everyone's wish is null and void in this bar. So all chaos is going on. Some people want to be superheroes. Other people want want to be like uh maybe they wish for like someone to come back from the dead, like wish for like Jim Morrison or some other people. And it's just all chaos. And it's written by Charles Soule. Check it out. It's actually it has an interesting premise. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's a really fun book. The pitch is what interested me. I was like, I gotta see what they're gonna do. The idea that everyone gets a wish, 8 billion people on the planet, and they they execute this pretty well. And they come up with some pretty obnoxious wishes and how factions form, and not everyone wishes right away. Some people keep their wish, like their genies, because when you wish, when you do your wish, your genie disappears. Um, and it's very chaotic. It's very fun. I love it because it's
Was-
unusual it just keeps me turning the page. It's got it.
didn't they make fun of the I was gonna say, didn't they make fun of the joke? Where it's like, you're the seventh person they asked to cure cancer. It's like it's like
It's
what?
yeah. There's fun stuff like that. There's like a cast of characters that are all different that the book kind of centers around. There's not like one main character, And so these different
Yeah,
little
they're
groups, like they kind of have their different wishes and they do things, and the book kind of follows them and how they interact in the world. So, and then it also does this cool thing where like each issue, it'll be like the first one is like the first 8 seconds, and then the next book is like the first 8 minutes, and then the next book is like the 8 days, and then 8 weeks, and then 8 months later, 8 years later. Like so you really get to like go pat through time and see how, and then halfway through the series they reveal like why they're the genies. Because in the beginning it's like, hey, 8 billion genies show up, and you're like, well, there's no explanation why. It's just everyone gets one, and okay, whatever. And I was fine with that. Like, I didn't need really an explanation, but then like halfway through you kind of discover some reveals, and they like, oh, and then this is why this is going on. You're like, oh, that's really interesting. So it kind of keeps you wanting to know more. I think it's a quality book. It's definitely worth the read. Um, I
yeah. The other
think,
book I'm reading is Hell to Pay,
yeah, you're
which is
liking that.
completely different. Yeah.
Oh, where
So
am I? So the other book was House of Slaughter. This is James Tynan, sorry, his book. It's a spin-off book of his Something is Killing the Children. So pretty
also
much
Slafter.
you're pretty much wanting to read this if you're reading Something is Killing the Children. It's interesting world building stuff. I've only read a little bit, but it has to do with these houses. One of them is called Slaughter. There's different houses, and they're like monster hunters. So Something Killing the Children is about like monsters killing children, and then these
Oh,
monster slayer people like come and intervene and slay. And the
something's
main
killing.
one of the
Right
main
now,
characters in that book, they're from the House of Slaughter,
yeah,
and so it
yeah,
was so
yeah,
popular they did a spin-off
yeah.
book about the House of Slaughter. So that's what that is.
So something's killing the Skipintosh. He from out of nowhere he got a RKO. He's got a fever. I know.
Oh, he says,
He's
light the
got
beam.
I got chills and they're multiplying and such. Just
Oh
my
man, I hope you feel better, man.
I'm writing a view with has COVID. So but I'm joining that club. Ooh.
Yeah, for a fifth time, you've had COVID 4 times.
His friend
Oh
you
my
know has
goodness.
COVID. So he's
Uh,
well every time you give yourself a booster shot, you give yourself COVID.
no, you don't. You just make your body more susceptible to COVID. But I don't want to get into the politics of that. Um, let's see. So that's what those are. So what were your guys' picks? Austin chooses 8 billion genies. Wait, we don't count your pick, Austin, because you cheated out of the first round. Um, I don't see any other picks.
Zach had something. Did he choose? Ronnie chose Star Wars.
Okay, Marani chose Star Wars,
And
and Zach chose
Zach,
Gunslinger Spawn.
yep.
All right, good picks. Fair enough. And you guys, there's really no true winners here. Like, this is just for fun, so don't take it too seriously. But 8 billion genies wins, which means RDV and I both win rounds 1 and 2. So, next round we have Marauders number 11, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 137, Swamp Thing Green Hell number 2, Nightcrawlers number 1, Star Wars Bounty Hunters 31, Mary Jane and Black Cat number 3. This one's going to be a little bit tougher.
Not for me.
Well, maybe not for me either now that I think about it.
I'm going for Swamp Thing. Green Hell, number 2. Jeff Lemire. With a huge spoiler on the cover.
Is that who I think it is?
Yep.
Yeah. Good deal, man.
Doug Doug Mankey is doing the cover and the art.
All
Yep.
right. Yeah,
Like I
this
said, I was going to skip about this. Skip, you need to read this. This is really cool. It's a fun book.
yeah, Skip, I think Skip likes Jeff Lemire sometimes. So,
Seven
um
dollars for 48 pages, but still, it was a fun story for the first issue. I think it's only gonna be 3 issues though.
So Austin says he's voting regardless if his vote counts or not. Okay. Um, that's fine.
Right.
What do you saw?
TMNT, we
I
got TMNT, and then we got Zach saying Mary Jane Black Cat. So we got two TMNTs, one Swamp Thing, and Mary Jane.
Zach is voting
Where you,
Mary Jane, Black Cat. Yeah, this seems
well,
like a pretty Zach book.
it's a Jed McKay book, but the last one was garbage, so I didn't even care for it. I dropped the title.
Yeah,
The title it tied in the dark web.
I'm not as hot on
I,
Jed McKay as a lot of fellows are, but there you go.
but what I am,
This is a
I
Zach
have a.
cover though. Like I just see this and go, oh yeah, I could see Zach buying this.
Is it a J. Scott Campbell cover? It almost looks like it.
I just
But,
the two hot chicks on a car driving through the
I just love
city.
the fact that Constantine is like so freaking old. I love when Vertical at DC would do just let him age. So it's
Yeah,
a futuristic story.
I'm gonna have to pick Swamp Thing as well. I mean, we've been aligned every row so far. I tell you, one book to not get um, is this hot garbage,
Simon Spurrier.
Night Crawlers. Yeah, but you know, you guys do you.
If you like a female Nightcrawler Wolverine mashup, if they made it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so we got two votes for Swamp Thing. We got a vote for TMNT. We got a vote for Mary Jane. Uh,
wait, Mr. Man.
all right. I guess that's it. So Swamp Thing wins again. You and I are three Pete's winners. Uh,
I think
see if
this
we can
next one we won't be.
be like Chicago Bulls. Um, Next we have Avengers Forever number 14, Invincible Iron Man number 3, Grimm number 8, Lazarus Planet Dark Fate number 1, Spider-Man The Lost Hunt number 4, and I Am Batman number 18. Oh my goodness.
Ace
Yeah,
Fox, Jim Mateus, or no, or DM Mateus is on the Spider-Man Lost Hunt right there. Uh, Gary Duggan, I believe, is on Invincible Iron Man. Yeah,
Gary Duggan on.
basically Tony's being framed in this, and I've been living in the art. I read back last DS. The only problem with the last issue is they whenever Riri pops in his book, they always have to put him down to make Riri look cool. So, but Bob Bladen's doing the connecting variant cover art on this, which is really cool.
So you can
It's
so you can
it's
deceive yourself that it's not actually it's like pretend the
it's
inside is different than the
the
outside.
inside. The art's really good on the inside. I love the inside art.
Well,
But
I
I
meant the
love the
comic quality as a whole.
it's better than Cantwell. We're going
Look,
up.
here's the thing. Gary Duggan is primed for this because Iron Man has been in such bad hands. Gary Duggan only needs to turn in like a C level comic. He doesn't have to go like B or A, you know. He just get a C plus.
He,
And
he got rid of.
it will be like superstar. People will be cheering. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh!" After Cantwell, and then previous to that was Dan Slott Iron Man. Like,
There's no Hellcat here. Campbell's not writing it. It's going up. It's not as bad as I thought it was, but it's just that the last issue hit Riri Williams in it. If Riri's in this, I think it's gonna go better. I just
this,
can't stand how they write
uh,
Riri.
I hate Riri too, but this is Gary's chance to shine. Right? You talk about we've talked, following up some of the greats. Like people having to step in, like having to step in at X-Men when Chris Claremont did it for 17 years, or having to come in on Daredevil after Frank Miller left. Like there's tough people like come on to Captain America after Ed Brubaker's run. You know,
This is easy, man. Coming in after Cantwell.
Cameron got Cantwell, and then also before that, like this is just handing it on a silver platter. Like he doesn't have to try. He could just do basic, just be mid, and you will be a superstar.
Mid. Like I said, I'm getting really for the connecting covers now of the Bob Layton. Actually, he's drawing again, doing a variant cover. It's not like from the vault. Actually, him drawing.
Is this which is
No,
the
he's the
variant?
armor, all the armors. That's one in the middle.
That's a Bagley. Oh, this is it's a connecting
Yeah,
cover. Oh, I see.
yeah, all the armors.
That's kind of cool. Kind of boring, but kind of cool.
It just shows you how many freaking armors this guy has.
Too many armors. Let's see. Zach says voting for Lazarus Planet. Williamson is one of the writers, and it'll feature Wally West. All right. I gotta say, I like this cover of Avengers Forever. I will not have to say why, even though I think it's
Doom,
stupid. The idea of Doom Planet, planet, whatever this thing is.
Doom, the ever living planet eagle.
Yeah, it's stupid, but I just the composition of the cover is cool. But it's Jason Aaron, so he will never get my vote. I can't vote for I Am
Uh,
Batman. Um, Now Austin says Grimm, but we don't count his vote. But I know next to nothing about this other than it's Stephanie Phillips. So that reminds me not to vote for that one. I'm gonna have to vote
no,
for Lazarus Planet for the reasons that Zach gave.
Joshua Williams is on it. You got Wally West tying into it, and
It's got Tim
now I don't
Seeley and
care for
Alyssa
Tim
Wong
Seeley.
on it
Yeah,
though. Ugh. This is a really tough one, man.
it's only $5 though, so you have.
Oh, it's only $5 for like 8 pages of Josh Williamson.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, the last one was like $9 and it had like only one good writer on it. Now this, I left off at issue 2 because I just didn't like the way it was going. It wasn't as great as all the other writers that were doing the flashbacks. I was like, oh. Now it says the origin of Craven the Hunter finally revealed.
This is J.M. DeMatteis, so
I know. For me, this is the weaker of all the flashback stories. But this is where they're living in. This is during the place during the Clone Saga, where Peter and MJ moved to England, moved to London over. She's pregnant right now, and he's been experiencing these bad dreams. Can't sleep. He's having nightmares because this guy's been messing around with him. But we get Doom Patrol, Huntress, Wally West. That's why Zach's getting it.
yeah, it's Tim Seeley and Alyssa Wong. I don't know who Dennis Culver is, but Josh Williamson is not enough to save this. He's probably got a small little 5-page story, and it's $4.99. So nope, you lose. My vote this week for this row is Spider-Man: Lost Hunt. This is a terrible.
I was like, you went really close with Avengers right there. I was like, dang, he's gonna click on that.
No, I mean I just want to recognize the cover because I liked it, but nope. I would have to see. This is where
Yeah,
if I'm the comic book shop owner, I go, little Tim. I know this. You like this cover, and you're about to buy this comic because it screamed at you off the shelf. But I need to tell you to put it away because it's Jason Aaron, and he's just terrible. And never,
yeah.
never be tricked by the cover.
Zach's saying that he's that the New Patrol story is probably by Culver. He's probably the new writer. That's why.
Oh, I don't know.
Uh, for me though, I'm choosing the devil I know, and that's Iron Man.
Ooh, wow. All right, cool. So one Iron Man pick, one Lazarus pick. Wait, what did Marania pick?
She chose I am Batman. Just kidding.
I don't see Marania's pick. Um, so she might be the tiebreaker. We've got
She's no.
Lazarus
She
Planet. We
says
got
she says Spider Man. My guy's been written mid at best in this run,
Oh, there
verging
she
at a D
is.
plus. Yeah,
All
like I
right,
said,
so
this isn't. Yeah,
I
it,
am now the winner again, but you did not win this time, I'm afraid.
what do you mean you're the winner?
uh, okay, next row. We got Dangerous Street number 3, Walking Dead Deluxe number 57. What is the furthest place from here? Number 11. Wasp number 2. Batman Incorporated number 5 and Extreme X-Men number 3. This is an interesting row. Um
Yep. We'll get next week. Next station. Yeah, the next pro is gonna be painful
I know what
for me.
Skip's pick would be here.
I'm gonna go with Extreme X Men number 3,
All right. I am
mainly
also
because
going to
I've already read Walking Dead, so
well, that doesn't matter.
for me it does.
Well,
I'm
remember
getting both.
these are recommendations. They're not necessarily what you're
Well,
personally most excited for.
realistically, I would be recommending more than one book to a kid. I'm
You
in
know,
the
that's the
business of making
game. The
money,
game is only you get to only say one. The kid's like, I only can buy one book. Mommy said I could get one of these 6 books. Which one do I buy?
and that's why I said Extreme X Men.
Oh, he doesn't get Walking Dead. You're not a true believer. I I knew
If
that
I
about
said
you.
Walking Dead, you're like, oh, he doesn't get Claremont. You're not a true believer.
You've never been a fan of Claremont until you go back and read the '80s X-Men. You're not a Claremont fan.
I like New Claremont.
All right. So I'm also going to pick Extreme X-Men. Uh,
You're not gonna choose Walking Dead? That poor kid.
I'm not the one who tells me behind the scenes that Walking Dead is the best comic every time it comes out. And I'm like, why don't you pick it? You're like, oh, because I already know. I'm like, well, it's still the best. You should pick it.
Invincible, Walking Dead, and Firepower are probably the best comic books that have come out in the past 20 years.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue. My thing is this: I haven't read Walking Dead. I have read Extreme X-Men. I could 100% pick Walking Dead. Like I could see. That's why it's interesting. Um, I think if I were reading both books, my pick might be reversed. But um, yeah.
Yeah, you can't get kids Walking Dead. That's really gory.
Oh my goodness.
Little 12-year-olds should not be reading Walking Dead because there's a lot of gore in there.
Well, little Timmy's actually 17.
Well, little Timmy can buy 2 books then.
No,
He's got a
that's
job.
not how the game works. Skip's pick is what is the furthest place from here. I'm sure of it. I don't need to know. I mean, I don't need to check it. Breen's pick is
Well,
Danger Street number 3.
yeah.
But Breen's not here to disagree. But we know for sure that it is because he's unabashedly reading Tom King.
Did you say he says? Bold statement, RDB. I respect it.
Do we get votes from someone else? Oh, Marani's picking Wasp. Marania. Surprise pick. Supporting the
Golly,
Al
gilly.
Ewing Wasp.
She's just going on the cover. I don't think she's even
Yeah.
looking at the interior.
Well, I think she's picking characters she knows. Um, hey, you gotta do
Who's
what you
this little
gotta do.
Timmy in my I don't know. I usually say little Rhaegar. I don't say little Timmy. That's so weird.
Where's Zach? Oh, he says Zach says Danger Street. Oh, he says
Tom
Breen been
King.
loving it, so it's got to be good, right? No, Zach, that's not how that works.
Well, only if you know the characters that it's based off, or you continue, then you might enjoy it. But if for a person like me doesn't know any of the characters, there's no nostalgia for me. So
Yeah, I think that's what Breen is reading it for. Like he's getting a pure nostalgia. Um, and and that's the gimmick like that Tom King does. He tricks you. He takes these like old characters and he brings them into like this new modern light and everything. You're like, oh, this is an interesting new take. And then you read the end of the book and you're like, oh, I feel disgusting now. She says, I do not like any of the other books. Oh man, what do you got against Extreme X-Men? You Chris Claremont X-Men hater, Maranya. She's
Skipatage did
determined.
confirm.
She's
So
determined not to
Skipatage
like X-Men.
is he said that Clover is a new writer. He says my buddy Justin has done a few books with him. He's solid. Not mind blowing though. I see Joe Corallo. We're doing it on the interview where we're talking about something. He's like, Mike. I like to call him Mike. It's like we just harassed him the rest of the episode. The reason is like just teasing him.
Zach
It's like,
says,
cause
doesn't
he's like,
matter. I still vote Danger Street because Zach's got a prejudice against X-Men too. We gotta fix these people up, RDB.
it's weird because there's no black people on the cover. Huh, I'm
What's
shocked.
interesting though is that he's taking Breen's pick over his twin's pick. His pick's a different book, and I don't know. I'm not sure that there's twin as they say, but
I think
I
it's
think
all a
they
pack of
I
lies.
think him and Maranya have a prejudice against X-Men. That's all I think. And Maranya says, unless the Batman book is Batman 66 related, I will always downvote Batman. Wow.
Wow.
Jeez. More
Wow.
prejudice.
That is prejudice. That's like people who don't like actors are old and say they should stop acting.
Wow.
Don't be prejudiced.
I mean, it's true that most
Unless
Batman books suck. You can just downvote Batman books because they suck. You don't need
well,
you
this
don't
isn't
need to
even a
have other
Batman book.
reasons.
That's the bad thing about Batman Incorporated. It's not even a Batman book. It's just a character that Tinian made, and it's his new book. It's basically the Reed 2.0 version of Batman Incorporated, like by Grant Morrison. And that book, yeah, that book does suck.
All right, here we go. This is another
Now we
interesting
now we get
row.
to see. Now this is tough for me because there's 3 books in here that I'm reading. It's horrible.
Okay, we got Wildcats number 4, Monica Rambeau Photon number 3, Murder World Moon Knight number 1, I Hate Fairyland number 4, Nightclub number 3, and Nemesis Reloaded number 2.
I want to see what everybody else picks first.
Well,
Skip, we might be vibing tonight here if he chooses the book this because I have an idea what I want to say, but I also curious to see what Skip's gonna say first.
my pick is super easy. I mean,
Of
there's
course it
two
is.
there's there's two books that I'm buying on here and I would
I
recommend, but one
and I
is
and
just better than the other.
I know what you're gonna say though. I guarantee your pick is Nemesis.
You are not wrong. Um,
uh, yeah, I gotta go with Maranya here, and yeah, and Skip Photon, Manga Rambo, Photon. I love this. The first 2 issues. I'm liking it.
really? You like them
Yeah,
better than both Millar books?
yep.
Wow. All right. I'm probably gonna lose this week or this row, because Zach said Nightclub number 1 because he doesn't know which is the better of the two Miller books. But that's all right. That's all right, Zach. You're still my bestie, but sometimes you're a little misled. I'm picking Nemesis. To be fair, they're both good books, but Jorge Jimenez art versus whoever this guy is.
I'm loving old school Monica Rambo.
All right, you
It's not.
love old school Monica Rambeau. I can love her by going back and reading the old Roger Stern stuff. Um,
That's one
but
person I want to come back and just write some old stuff. I want Roger Stern to come back, start writing more.
Lonnie says I am allowed to not like the premises behind other books. I am not a sheeple. Well, you are. That's true. I mean, um, I would just try to remind everyone this is not exactly about the book you would pick for yourself. It's about trying to pick what you objectively think might
See,
be
that's that.
the best book.
So what Skip and Dutch just said is basically how I feel. Yeah, it's Yeah, it's shockingly good for Monica Rambeau.
All right. Well,
Uh,
I'm glad to hear
yeah,
it. It there needs to be more good.
I'm just curious to see what they're gonna do with well, I'll judge Nemesis once I read the second issue and see what's going on with that. But the first issue was like, okay, this is like the first series. I wasn't sold on the first issue. I gotta read the second one to see if I like it or not.
I'm skeptical that Eve Ewing is writing the best, shockingly good comic, but all right, I'll take your word for it.
Don't take my word for it. Take Skip's word for it, and Mariah's Skip's word for
Ronnie's not reading it. She just doesn't like the other
it.
books.
But
um,
she chose it before even Skip and I even said anything. So it's just got good taste.
um,
Yeah.
all right, so we got one book for Nemesis, one for Nightclub, two for Photon. Skip is saying he thinks Photon is more universal, can satisfy more people, and can be read by a wider age demographic, good for older kids and adults.
Her afro's tied up.
There's
It's tied back. Yeah, it's
there
just
is some logic in that statement. I cannot disagree with. Next row we have Image, number 10. The Dead Lucky, number 6. Batman: The Adventures Continue, season 3, number 2. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Armageddon Game, number 5. Mighty Morphin Power
I'm
Rangers, number 105, and Art Brute, number 3. This was a tough one.
Batman Adventures continue for me.
That is not surprising. Um, what's this the Dead Lucky? I don't know anything about it. It's the end of a story arc.
3.99.
Interesting looking cover, I suppose, but I don't know anything about it.
Like Fortnite.
Ronnie says, my exception to the no Batman rule. Ah, you cheater. Ah. um, who's who is the same team doing season 3 as the first two seasons?
It is the same. Paul
Paul
Dini's writing.
Dini. Oh, Alan
Ty
Burnett's
Templeton
doing the
was
art.
Ty Templeton was doing the art, and then he got cancer. So he wasn't doing any art because he was recovering. He's now in remission. He's or out of remission. No.
Oh, Daniel Warren Johnson's got a cover. Look at that.
Yeah. Yep.
Dope. Oh, man, that might.
You ever wonder what the Batmobile looks like when he's working on it? That's what it looks like. All the freaking wires.
Oh, there's a Ben. Uh,
Scarecrow.
Ben Templesmith.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought they changed it. I see. That's one thing I didn't like about when they updated the series, the animated series, how they made like the Scarecrow look more like a horrific character. In the first two seasons, he was like more like a straw man. Didn't look that scary.
I like this cover. This is like
Who's that?
reminds me of the show.
Was it incentive cover? What is this? Cover is
Yeah, no,
this?
it's one of the
Scroll.
variant covers. It's
Yeah,
the
scroll up so I can see. Yeah,
oh, what
his
is it?
incentive cover. Yeah,
But
under
it's
the
you know what
name.
I'm saying. It's got the look of the show, like
Yeah,
the
yeah. I didn't see that cover last time when I was looking stuff. I was looking at the Daniel Warren Johnson cover, but I'm like, I might get the other one, incentive instead,
yeah. In
because
fact,
I definitely don't like
the
the.
A cover is my least favorite. I hate when the
Oh,
A cover is least favorite.
I know that's Kevin Alteri.
Let's see. Zach is also cringe, like he's exasperated. Well, don't vote Batman if you don't like Batman. Watch it. Jeez. Oh, I don't want to vote for Batman, but I vote for him anyway. Skip
Yeah, you don't like
clearly.
animated series? Screw you. You're not a Batman fan.
Skip is an unsurprising pick. Is picking Art Brute. I should had
Campbell soup.
no surprises there. Um, The only reason I'm not picking Art Brute, although I can absolutely respect the choice, probably the best comic there. I gonna have to use Skip's reasoning against him. It's not the most approachable. It's not the most wide audience, and for that, I'm gonna say Batman: The Adventures Continue.
So the Adventures
So,
Continue and I love it because it's basically the animated universe, and they're
yep,
introducing characters that have never been in the animated universe,
right.
which I like about it.
And it's by Paul
First,
Dini, who is part of the
yep,
animated universe. Like it, and it's very authentic. It's very well done.
yep.
That cover is a turnoff, though. So
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
would tell people buy the other cover. Uh, Skip
Yeah,
says, "Hey,
this
at least
this
Twin is being objective still, even if he's grumpy about it."
for whatever reason, this volume or this season 3, the main covers have been crap
I don't think Skip
compared
is
to.
being objective still. I think, or sorry, I don't think uh, Zach is being objective still. I think that there's not a lot of choices for Zach here, so he's like, I begrudgingly pick Batman because there's not something else. Um, but that's just my guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, he says it's the only thing I know anything about. See? Okay. Next row, and I think this one should probably be our last because we're getting down to comics that no one knows anything about.
Oh my god, you kidding me? We got Master of the Universe, and we got Marvel Voices Icon. That's when it gets awesome. Keep
Marvel
going.
Voices. Everyone's gonna pick Marvel Voices. Come on.
Of course.
All right. So Batman
So
Adventures Continues wins again. Or sorry, I win again with or Batman Adventures Continue, and you win too because you picked it, and everyone who picked it wins because it won. And Skip, he wins because he reads Art Brute and he likes it. Um, and Austin, did he stop? I don't know if he.
he's still there.
Oh, he picked Image. I couldn't see his vote.
Yeah, yeah. He
Um,
was the first one to vote, I think.
he won't even he won't pick Batman Adventures Continue. That's just how jaded he is. Next row we have Kaya at number 5, Batman
Oh,
and Scooby
your
Doo
mouse is
Mysteries number
glitching.
5,
There it goes.
Parker Girls number 5, Ronin Book 2 number 2, The Last Barbarians number 1, and The Vampire Slayer number 11.
I want to say Last Barbarian. Is that Brian Hamberlin?
It is Brian Haberlin. The
Just waiting
Last
for it to pop up.
Barbarians. I
Yeah.
mean, it's got RDV cover written all over it.
I'm just waiting for it to pop up. Did you click on it or something?
Yeah, is it not showing up for you?
It's just showing the main page. The row.
That's weird. Why is that?
Mhm.
Oh, oh, hold on. Open a new tab. Sorry, I did
There it
open a new
goes.
window, not new tab. So
Yep.
this this is the cover RDV is gonna pick, I'm sure.
Nope. Nope.
No, I'm
No.
wrong. Oh, you're gonna go for this one.
No.
Just
But
kidding.
it
This
is
is the
that.
Zach cover. Waha! Just sorry, Zach. I had
So they
to.
can
It's
drop
late.
Power Man on there for him.
It's late.
The cover I'm going for is right there.
This one. You like the short hair girls with the tats?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Saya from Daily Class.
All right. Oops.
Yes. Zach going for the same book, bro. Awesome.
Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, I like all these covers. This sounds cool. Brian Haberlin's cool. I'm curious. I'm curious, and that's that's pretty good. Um,
They got some Torrent somebody chose
Marania is making another exception to her Batman rule.
again.
So this is the second Batman book Marania's picked. I want to say for the
Yes.
record. Um, and Skip says torrent number 1 again, defying my own logic because it's multiple homies on one book, and there's a Danny Strips cover colored by another homie. So Skip is picking essentially for the Skip customer. It's basically his clone walks into the shop and says, "What comic should I buy?" And Skip's like, "I know exactly the comic you should buy." um,
Where's there a torrent? I don't even see that comic book either. I don't even see the.
I don't know. I don't
Once you
know.
when you scroll down, you maybe saw it, but
Maybe maybe he picked. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Oh, that's
Right
way
there
down
it is.
here. Skip's
Yeah,
jumping way ahead. No, Skip,
just
we're
jumping
on
the chart.
this row here with Kaya, Batman, Scooby Doo, Parker Girls, Ronin 2, Barbarians, and Vampire Slayer. Um, let's see. Skip says, even though I'm pulling Ronin, Kaya by Wes Craig is for adults and kids and has rad stylized art and is a fun adventure. I did read Kaya number 1, and I agree it is fun. Wasn't enough for me to like pull the series, but um, it was cool. Parker Girls was also kind of interesting. I read the first issue of Parker Girls. I think Parker Girls. I think this is going to be a book that appeals to a certain audience. Like the people that like it are going to be like love it, and then everyone else is going to be like, I don't get it.
Wasn't it from Strangers in Paradise?
Yes, it's from this. It's from the same world.
Yeah. So if you like that and you're enjoying that, it's continuing that world
Yes,
characters from
essentially, if
that
you're a
book.
Strangers in Paradise fan, you're going to be all about Parker Girls.
So
Um,
otherwise, you might as well go read that first because yeah, you know, to
now,
get the full story.
why, oh why, did our boy not pick Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I did back when Dan Moore was doing the art.
Okay.
Dan Moore did the interior and the cover, and then the art on the interior was just horrible. Yeah, and then they just started changing everything, and then I realized, and then at the end they're like, "Oh, we're just kidding. This is one of million multiverse Buffy stuff." I was like, "Cool," and I'm done.
So Austin is picking Last Barbarians, even though his vote doesn't count. You guys are picking. You and your boy Zach are picking Last Barbarians.
Yeah,
Um,
boy.
I'm gonna pick Ronin purely on the art, which is crazy because I'm getting the book because of Frank Miller, but I'm not gonna try to sell anyone on Frank Miller. I'm gonna this book on the art. It is phenomenal. Um, so Ronin book 2. You can just flip through it and just drool. And yeah,
Next
even,
one, next row.
why are we not doing anymore?
Here we are. We gotta keep going. There are
I
still
already
good
did 8
books.
rows.
We can keep going. We're almost done.
There's no these are kind of getting in the dregs. We can go through them
You,
and just
you,
look.
just because it's hard for you doesn't mean that you have to stop. Yeah, choose one.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I'm going Masters of the Universe. Masterverse.
That's why you want to go. You just wanted to vote for this book.
Why not?
Jim Seeley writing Masters? No way. No way.
Anybody else? Come on, people. Vote, vote, vote. This is also you just discover other books are coming out right now too, indie books.
Yeah, but there's no way to there's no I can't recommend any of these books. I know nothing about any of them.
Do you
Mosley
think Miranda
sounds
knows
like it
anything?
might be.
Do you know Miranda knows anything about the books that she's picking?
Monty doesn't have to participate. We don't make anyone do
Oh,
this.
okay, Ash, you don't have to participate either. We'll just vote without
But
you.
I'm on the show.
Hey, Skip Dash says I'm taking Mosley.
Yeah, I'm gonna
There's
take
two Tim
Mosley.
Seeley books on there. This is like a trap for you.
Austin is
Minefield.
also picking Mosley. And since these shouldn't count, I'm now gonna let Austin's votes count because we shouldn't even be doing these. It's not to say that there's no books worth getting down here, because sometimes decent books come get in the dregs. It's just that
I'd say
it's
yeah.
just you start getting down into the area where it's like books are just no one's heard of or anything. Because
Trojan.
there's books that I
That is
buy.
a
Like
messed up.
I get Good Boy. It's way down here.
Yeah.
Um,
Cherish. Betty. Death Rage. Yeah, there's a lot of there's good books on there.
Zach's taking Mosley too.
They're all avoiding Tim Seeley.
Austin says, "Oh, now it counts." Ronnie says, "Hardware number 3 looked like an interesting premise. She'll get it." Uh, all
He's
right.
doing
So,
Avengers End Times.
oh, look at Aftershock is releasing a number 1 issue. Maybe there's hope.
Colin Bunn.
Yeah, but it's a number 1. They're going
I
out of
know.
business. Like, maybe they're not going out of business. Maybe we'll keep getting Samurai Doggy. Oh, look, there's a Batman Spawn Unplugged.
Director's cut, black and white. That's all it is.
Unplugged. Unplugged. Do you know what the term unplugged means?
Yeah, when you take the butt plug out.
No.
Oh,
It's a term that I think MTV coined
yeah.
when they had the bands come play live, but they played unplugged, meaning they didn't use any
This is your
electric
Ash Kennedy. Yeah,
instruments,
yeah.
right? They
This is
just
the
like
Ash
all
Kennedy. Right?
acoustic. Comics aren't electric. It's unplugged doesn't make sense. They're analog. Like I'm sorry. I get annoyed when these direct or these editors and stuff. They did the same thing when they
Well,
did director's cut. There's no
well,
director in comics. Like you can have a director. There's not
here.
movies.
If they
No,
if they said and hey, if they said Batman Spawn black and white, it'd be racist.
would it?
Yeah, it's because Batman's white and Spawn's black.
At least Kirkman is smart enough to say like undeluxe or what do you call his?
Oh yeah, for Invincible.
Right.
Who's doing the end times Marvel Tales?
Who
Because
cares?
the art looks normal. Avengers. Brian Michael Bendis.
Brian Michael Bendis is doing a Marvel comic?
Yep. Mike Mayhew. Look at all this. Walt Simonson.
It's
All over
100
Columbia.
pages.
Yeah.
Wow. It's got a lot of big
Um,
name artists on here. Is this like a
Paul
reprint
Mott.
book? Yeah,
So by the Lazy House Ideas
it's
at
a
Marvel Tales.
reprint book. They're just collecting
Oh, okay.
old
I was
Bendis
like,
stuff.
dang. Uh, for that role though, I would just take yeah, probably take the shirtless bear fighter.
Hey, what about this book here from Source Point Press?
I I want if I can find it. I've been wanting to read that series.
Yeah, Source Point's a real small publisher. You got like pre-order.
It looks like 30 Days and Nights almost, so that they're in a different town
Yeah, it's
and
cool covers.
yeah. Columborn Horror. Trojan is a messed up book. You know, it is a it's a really effed up book for AWA.
That sounds fun. Betty, the
Yep,
final girl.
yep, I'm picking that up.
Are you?
I want to cherish. Yeah,
Nice. Oh,
it's it goes by screaming when a stranger calls. Frank Miller's Pandora.
oh
Yes.
man. Yeah, no, this is one of the ones I'm not picking up. Um, Bad Idea Comics is a new comic called They're All Terrible.
I can't.
Matt Kent. Ramon Villalobos.
Thank God he's not doing the art.
Skip will be picking that one up. I have a feeling. Resident Alien, you'll be picking that
Yep,
up.
getting that, and also getting Death Rage.
Death Rage, huh?
Yep, that's part of that universe. That's Aaron. That's Aaron Sparrow.
Man, you're all into this.
It,
Very
it,
cool.
it's a shared. It's a shared universe crossing over.
All right.
I yeah. I started reading Born of Blood. I was like, holy crap! It's like it's everything. It's strong female protagonist. And she's not Mary Sue, and she's forced to go through all the different trials, and then you actually have like real, like actual uh historical characters mixed into with it too. And it's set like a couple of years before the 300. So Zombicide, if I could find anywhere, I'd want to check it out, read it. It looks like I started a game.
Yeah, I have there. This is a real popular game. I used to be real big into the board game community, and uh, I,
Uh,
I helped to kickstart the Zombicide. They've made a million Zombicides since.
yeah, if I could find psychodrama, I'd want to read that too. Looks like Space Lady.
Here's Dahlia in the Dark #3.
Yep, I'll be picking those up too. I gotta find the first two.
I can't find these, but I'd like to check them out.
They're available on the actual website. For the publisher, you can buy the physical. MadCaveStudios.com.
Right.
You can also buy digital too. There you go. With line whip too. She's hopeless. Yep, yep.
Here we go. This one's right up my alley. Black Paper Cat Girls. That's making me cringe
Solid
just
the
looking
one
at it.
girl. Yep.
Um,
Be my villain. Pioneers, what the heck? Blood and Stairs. Planet Comics, Jungle Comics. That's been around for a while.
all
Hot
right.
Babes and Dinosaurs. There you go. Here you go. First, Mr. Thing.
Hot Babes and Dinosaurs?
Yeah, right there. Jungle Comics. The T Rex going
Oh,
after her.
oh. I was looking for the title for our boy
Yeah.
Zach.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Big.
that's missing is Nazis. And Zach by the trifecta.
All right. I think we're coming to a close. We looked at all the new books. We voted on what are the best. Um, so hopefully you guys will be picking out good books on Wednesday. I have my biggest poll probably in in a long time for sure. There's all the books I'll be pulling, um, which usually I only get like 2 or 3 books a week these days. So, and also I'm gonna have a real big week because I didn't. Some of the books that I've been getting haven't come in. Like this Blood Tree, they were sold out when I went to. Well, actually, no, they didn't even order this book. So I went. I was like, "Hey, can I get Blood Tree?" Like, "Oh, we don't have it." So she's ordered me a copy of this. And Saga of a Doomed Universe issue #2 was damaged. So when it came out, and I had to read, I was like, I can't. I'm not gonna pay because this is like an $8.99 comic. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and she just texted me a couple days ago. It's like, look what came in. So issue 2 came in, and this issue 3 that I'm pulling. So I'll be getting these, but it's 2 of them. I gotta pay two $8.99 comics on top of that, plus uh plus what was I saying? The that other Blood Tree book, plus something else was missing.
I have 15 books this week, so I'll be good.
Yeah, I can't do 15 books a week. Whew, not in
I'm
this
getting three.
economy.
I'm getting 3 Batman books covers Plus, I'm getting the 2 Walking Dead covers.
Dang. Dang. All right. So Skip says, just tell your shop to order them for you guys. Whenever my shops don't order a
I, I've
book, I just
I've
order.
tried. Yeah,
I just ask them to order and get 2 weeks later, no extra charge. Yes, that's what's happening to me. Is they're ordering. So she ordered Blood Tree for me. I had to special order Doomed Universe because this is no one's ever heard of this publisher, Comics Experience Publishing. Um, but she managed to get all of them for me. The problem is sometimes like Blood Tree, I didn't even know was coming out until like that week. Like I think I found out Tuesday night, so I called her like Wednesday. But I was like, oh, it's an image. It's a number one image. They'll have a, you know. She's like, oh, I didn't even order this book, and I'm like, you didn't order it? It's image number one. It's just like, so she did. I just have to wait. But sometimes, like Saga of the Doomed Universe, I had to really be on it because this is impossible to find. Um, so and also I'm still trying to track down Blade Runner 2039 #1 with the Sid Mead cover because I didn't get that cover, and she's been still trying to track it down. In fact, it's funny enough. She's like, I got a contact in the Bay Area that's looking for it. And I'm thinking about it's like, probably the same people Skip works with is why he gets always hard to find comics in the Bay Area. So, um, yeah, my store like they treat me good, but sometimes it's just a pain on certain books because I get small order print run books, and San Diego's not, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but it's not as hipster as like Northern California, so they don't order some of the more hipstery kind of books. And so if I'm into that or whatever, like, oh yeah, we don't get those. So I have to order way ahead of time. So all right, are we about done? We are supposed to run short and we didn't, but I think
that's okay.
we're good.
We ran the length of an average Ash lullaby.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Talking comics. Hopefully you enjoyed our coverage of the books. What are we gonna cover next week?
The
We're
same thing we do every week,
we're doing Nemesis
Mickey.
Reloaded because we already started that one. What's gonna be the second book? Oh, we're gonna do White Knight
It might as well do Batman the White Knight.
because it's the last issue. We'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Stay tuned for us next Monday. If you are reading these books, you can listen in to our reviews, give your own opinions. If anyone wants to join us like on air to talk about these, we can arrange that. And until then, read good comics.
Yep. Zach, you can join us for the White Knight.
Yeah, Zach likes himself some White Knight. Oh yeah. Good night, kids.